everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday show. Hope everybody out there is doing well. I'm James Chen, and once again, at my house. Can you hear me,
Yeah,
Dave?
what's up? I'm Ultra Dave. Oh, what do you mean, can I hear you? You're right, sitting right next to me.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, fair enough.
Come on, buddy. Yes, I'm right next to you, as always, in Santa Monica, California. My name's Ultra David. Thanks a lot for hanging out with us, everybody. So, we're going to be talking about some stuff. Some stuff happened over the past weekend, and we'll get to it. We're going to be talking about the CPT. We're going to be talking about the CEO online. We're going to be talking about community ban and some gnarly behavior. And we're going to be talking about some new characters that have come out. There's other stuff to talk about as well. That's not what we're going to start with, though. We're going to start with talking with our friends.
Okay.
Just like we did last week.
So also want to make sure, some people are saying that David's volume is a little bit low. You got to speak a little louder into this microphone in front of you here. So.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, let me just lean forward and do that.
Okay.
Yes, there is a new one. We'll talk about that in a little bit, Saigon.
Okay, I think...
Again, like with last week, we are going to just open up the floor and give platforms to some of our friends to talk about what it's like to be black in the FGC and related issues. So the intention is not to have an interview in any sort of back and forth sense. I mean, we might ask a question or something like that here and there, but in general, it's just, we just want to give a platform to people to say what they have to say. I think it's much more valuable to just hear directly from people rather than for us to sort of direct the show. And you know, I've been talking with each of these people. I've known some of them in some cases for many, many years at this point. Others relatively new, but I know that all of them have been certainly faced with these issues for however many years and have been thinking about it, and they're all very smart people. So I think that it's going to be, as with last week, very interesting. I thought it was great to have all the different perspectives that we did have last week, and I'm sure this week is going to be the same.
Yeah. All right, so let's bring on our first guest. This is going to be Boeken77. You can find him on Twitter at Boeken77. Just Boeken or Steve if you want to call him directly. Let's go ahead and bring him on over here. Pow, there we go. Hello.
Hello. Can you guys hear me all right?
I can hear you.
Sounds great to me.
Let me know in the chat at home if you guys can hear him. I can definitely try to up the volume and everything like that.
Sorry about the lighting.
You look pretty as always. So, introduce yourself first before we get going on this.
Sure. I'm Boeken, Boeken77 on Twitter. I've been in the FGC probably since 2010, but I started competing around 2012. And that's when I met probably like James Chen, Ultra David, probably at like a YomaCon in 2012 or something like that, or some other tournaments like that. And I was part of a few esports teams back in the day, a few years ago.
Well, tell them which esports teams. I mean,
I was a part of EchoFox, part of that team. I was the team manager. Well, first I was just a Japanese translator for the team, and then I got promoted to the manager, and then I did that for about a year after that, and then the company went down, and I was with Panda Global for a short stint, just like a trial period type thing, and then I was contract working with Equinox. And that's just doing Japanese translation stuff, and that's what I've been doing. And I'm still doing I still teach Japanese to FGC players, and that's what I'm doing.
All right, sounds good. I mean, we've known each other for I don't know. Yeah, I would guess 2012 or something. It's been quite a while at this point. So we wanted to talk with you. I mean, I reached out to you last week. It was my bad. I reached out just too late, just to see if you could do it that day. You were busy already, so we wanted to do it this coming week. So again, like with all of our guests, I figured that we would just open up the floor and let you say what you'd like to say. So, floor is yours.
Great. Well, I suppose I'll start with how I've always felt like the fighting game community. I mean, I'm sure everyone said this last week, but it's probably the most melting pot-ish of the esports, I believe. And like the person who got me into the fighting game community with Street Fighter 4 in 2009 was an Asian guy. His name is John, but he goes by Baka. He was like a Third Strike player, and he brought me into the fighting game community. And the first tournament I went to was like at a white guy's house, and there was like a bunch of black people, Asian people, like it was all over, and I felt like, oh, this isn't just like a bunch of nerdy, greasy white-haired kids or white kids, and it's just so diverse. And so from that point, I started going to bigger tournaments, and the biggest tournament I think I went to, I don't know if you guys were around for the UFGC days or UFGT days back in the day. I know David and James were. I think that might have been where I met them first technically, but that was my first big Chicago tournament, and it was the same thing. It was like a melting pot. If anything, I felt just so at home because that's what I grew up around. I grew up around a mix. Like I went to school in the suburbs, so there's a lot of white people, and I've always felt like I was in but not fully in with them. There's just something about it where you like they accept you, but like you don't feel like you're part of them for whatever reason that is. But I never felt that in the fighting game community because everyone is just so, it's just so diverse. And so, especially with recent events, I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Ooh.
And I still live there right now. And as of the past month, there's been a little bit of heat going on with the George Floyd stuff and the Black Lives Matter stuff. And I've always thought that despite what's going on in my world in Minneapolis, the fighting game community is like a safe place. And it may not be like that for everyone, but for me personally, I've never had an experience where I felt like, oh, because of my skin color, I'm at a disadvantage, or I feel like I'm being treated a certain way. If anything, my skin color has elevated me to certain levels of, notoriety. Like being a black dude who's fluent in Japanese is not super common, but in the fighting game community, there's a few of us, and so that's like that's part of what we are. We a lot of black people can do many things. Like a lot of us, there's commentators that are really, really influential and really high up there. There is streamers. There is, of course, there's a lot of the best players. A lot of the translators. Like we have, and I feel like that's a stronghold that FGC has, and there's not another community, in my opinion, that has that. Not as powerful, I should say. There's never been a time, like I've been at tournaments when it was like, oh, in the South, I was worried about, like, if I went to like a final round, I'd never really been to the South, and the image I have of the South is not, the best for a lot of people of, black African descent, right? But I felt so safe at these tournaments, no matter where we were, and it was just like, I got you. Like, I feel like we're all brothers, more or less, and sisters, and whatever gender you identify with. I feel like everyone's just accepting, for the most part. I can only speak on being a black male. I can't speak on what it's like to be anything else besides that. But in my opinion, I feel like because it's such a powerful, I want to say it's like a pride. I don't know if it's a pride we have, but like I almost feel like we pride on being accepting for the most part of all races and genders, and I even feel like there's no downside to that. And from the outside looking in, because I have a lot of I'm connected to a lot of people outside of the fighting game community, and when I show them just a glimpse of what it looks like, they're all amazed. They're just like, wow, it's people of every single race. Everyone is just so, we all have that one thing in common, which is fighting games, and it doesn't matter. Like, if as long as you're here to play, we'll accept you. Like, it doesn't matter at all if, what you look like. I mean, you might get hazed a little bit because if you're kind of a strange person, which strange person, right? But that's going to happen no matter what community you go to. But for the most part, I feel like it's just, there's nothing like it. And we need to keep that. Like, there's nothing that we can do, in my opinion. Like, if we go in a different direction with this, I feel like that's going to change. Like, if we go really corporate, which I think might happen soon, things might change a little bit in that regard. But I think FGC is so grassroots to where it won't change much. And I think we're just very powerful. And that's just how I feel. I mean, I can't wait for tournaments to start happening and meet with all of my, I've got my Japanese brothers, all my Echo Fox buddies, we're all over the place. Like, I feel like I'm accepted with the Japanese community to some extent, and even they, because I can understand what they say, they never bad talk anybody because they're a certain race. They might bad talk a character, or like we all do, but like it's not like Nothing to do with like, oh, because he's black he won, or that white guy. Oh man, like no, none of that ever happens. So that's just how I feel. Like there's nothing better than it. It's my home.
I'm glad that you have a positive experience with it, man. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, talking about this, FGC is not completely devoid of, racism and misogyny and that kind of stuff like that. And while your experience has been, very positive and very strong, do you feel like there's anything that could still be better? Like, what kind of things are you looking for, or is it just something that you're really happy as is?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we can do better. Like anything else, like we definitely aren't the best when it comes to female competitors or people that are like misogyny is still a thing. I feel like that's a lot of that's, even if it's all it doesn't need to exist. Like we don't, just because historically, games have been like more of an old boys club, I feel, but there's no reason for that. There's no like, oh man, woman, when in a fighting game, if you can press buttons, you can do it. Your brain is the power, not your physical ability. And so, yeah, we definitely got to work on that. Like misogyny is pretty, I wouldn't say it's like super bad, but it's pretty, like we got to work on that. Like I've seen some people that are like, don't want to join because of some girls who don't want to join because of, they've heard other experiences of being, talked to via chats, and then like, or in person, they're kind of treated a certain way because like all these events are still I want to say 90% men, right? So it can be very intimidating, and we have to do our best to make everyone feel welcome in that regard too, not just with what race you are. And I think that's one of our biggest things we probably need to work on is that.
Even outside of the fighting game community itself, what has it been like to be in Minneapolis? Are you in the city itself, or are you in the suburbs? And what's it been like over the last month living there?
So I live about 12 minutes away from downtown and up like where the stuff happened. But even like close to my workplace, that's probably like 15 minutes away. There were cars being burned right outside the parking lot, like maybe 2 miles away. And it's been pretty wild, actually. It's like when things first started popping off at the end of May, it was like, so I was in a tough spot because I've had bad experiences with police in my past, and I was doing nothing. Like I was the one that like, I called the police because something happened to me, and then they were like, you're in on it. And so I don't have a lot of faith in that system. And so it's like, okay, do I go out and protest and risk being treated differently by police than some of my other white friends or that are out there protesting, and even some of them got dogged out. But like, it's been pretty crazy with the protest. But now it's more like people are still protesting, but the riots have stopped. The riots stopped probably 3 weeks ago. Like the riots were pretty crazy, and there was like a lot of this talk about the white supremacists were in like, quote unquote black neighborhoods, right? And there's nothing going on in those neighborhoods. They were just rolling around, and I didn't feel super safe for like a week. So I just kind of laid low, I just left the house to get food and groceries, and that was it. And so it's just it's not just me that was like that. A lot of other black people, like, as soon as it started going off, everyone checking in, family members, everybody's like, oh, you safe? Especially our family that lives right in the heat of things, right? Make sure their houses weren't getting looted, because some people's houses were getting looted and robbed, right? And it wasn't like a common thing, but it was happening. And so we had a lot to worry about. There was a lot of things going on.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, it's been, it was similar to that in Los Angeles where I live too. We had a couple days of riots, maybe 3 days of riots, and businesses right across the street from where I live got hit. I spoke with the protesters, with the rioters in that instance, while they were doing it. So it was a little bit of a bizarre experience. But yeah, I think things where I live have been safer as well. I mean, the LA area has maybe been luckier in that respect than many other cities have. Not that we've been great, but like luckier than some for sure. Anyway, look, is there anything else that you would like to talk about or would like to say? It's pretty open floor.
I mean, I just feel like if we keep progressing, we're going to be in a good spot. And not that we haven't been progressing in the right direction, but with all the recent things about like, people getting banned for saying, making very untasteful tweets and things like that. And I think that we can't get rid of all people that are like that, because you never know who's like that, and there's always going to be people that are going to say those kind of things. But if we strive on not the zero tolerance with that, I mean, once tournaments start opening back up, it might be a good place, a better place, I should say. It's already a good, I mean, for the most part, a good place. We could be even better, and we could be even bigger, and I think that that we can do it. And I'm very proud to be in the FGC. Like, there's nothing I'm more proud of.
It's awesome.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Look, of course, yeah. We're just trying to get perspectives from a bunch of our different friends. You know, everybody has their own perspective, so I think it's nice to talk with a bunch of people just to sort of suss it out and get different viewpoints.
Well, I mean, obviously, is there anything that you want to plug? You know, obviously, Echo Fox is not around anymore, so, you know, if you want to, like, you know, get up, let people know.
I mean, I'm still teaching Japanese, so if anyone does want to, you know, receive lessons, or if they're looking just to start their journey with Japanese, my DMs are open on Twitter, or you can email me. I think my email is also on my Twitter bio, so just let me know. Otherwise, I'm just I'm chilling and happy.
Awesome.
Playing Street Fighter 5 and Tekken.
Oh, good to hear it. Good to hear it.
All right, buddy. Let's get some games in soon.
We need to. I got my PC up and running, so let's make it happen.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. Thanks a lot for joining.
Thanks a lot.
All right. So Steve's going to pop out of the video chat there. Nice to hear from Steve. Like I said, it was my bad that he didn't come on here last week in the first place, because I had asked him just too late, and he had already had plans. Right. So I appreciate that he was able to sort of put that off for a week and come back out this time.
Okay, there we go.
Shoutouts to Boeken. Every time I see that dude at a major, he's got a different beer for me to try. So I always appreciate that.
Oh, dang. That's perfect for you, because I know, like, every time we travel someplace, you always try to find a new beer to try, so...
For sure. Okay, well, Steve has popped out, so let me see. Pop on in. So up next, we're going to have Sharpie come on in here. Yeah. We can already hear you, so while he's getting that stuff set up, why don't you introduce yourself?
That's the wrong day.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sheila. I go by Sharpie inside of the community, and you may know me as that person that reminds people to play Skullgirls. You may also know me as FGC Mom, someone who wrote for FGC Dad, and I've done a couple of skits, as well as I also am the FGC head tournament organizer at Xanadu Games.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, and I co-founded Combo Queens with Carolyn. I'm one of the co-founders, and I do a lot of things, I guess. But most notably, everyone knows me as that one Skullgirls girl.
Yeah, you also bait people into, you know, checking out Skullgirl stuff on social media, as you successfully baited me a couple of days ago.
I do want to publicly say that while my intentions with that tweet were positive, I could easily see how it was misconstrued as such, and I've since deleted that tweet. Because my intention is not to remove voices from others inside of the community at large. So I want to publicly state that, but I'm glad that you appreciated the tweet.
Yeah. I didn't even know that there was any sort of drama behind that tweet. That's crazy.
It's not, I don't even necessarily want to say that there's drama. It's just that this world is very vast. This world is very big. As much as people like to think that I'm like directly plugged into every single social media outlet, at the exact same time I can't see everything that's posted until, like, unfortunately after the fact. And unfortunately at that time there was a very, very long, I shouldn't say unfortunately, what I should say is there was a very, very strong, courageous woman inside of the community who came out regarding things that happened to her previously with a well-known person inside of the Smash community. And they utilized the same format that I had. So it was just unfortunate that people had already seen her comments, and then unfortunately, I believe, conflated my statement with that. But that was just unfortunate timing on my aspect, but I completely understand what that was seen as by a majority of people. And so I don't want to encourage that at all. I don't want to encourage people making light of people that are sharing their story, because I think that's a really, really dark path to go around. And I know how hard it is to share something that personal to literal faceless people on the internet. So I'd never want to encourage or ever make anyone think that that's okay, ever. And as soon as it was brought up to my attention that that's how that tweet appeared, then I immediately removed it. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to make a statement until later, just due to the nature of this past week. So I wanted to. As soon as it was brought up to me, I deleted it. And as soon as I realized it wasn't okay, I deleted it. But it was a very messy and difficult 48 hours for me, to be very honest. Not anywhere as bad as earlier this month, and that's actually what I wanted to talk about, if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. This is for you to talk. James, I don't know if you have anything else to say, but if you'd like to just begin sharing your perspective, that's all for you.
The only thing that I just want to ask, on stream here officially is, I hope you're doing okay. Not necessarily ask, but just say, I hope you're doing okay, and, hope everything's been going well for you. Because, I know how crazy it's been on social media these past few days. So
I will be very honest with you, because this is going to be like the last public appearance that I make, probably for a couple of weeks, just because I need to take some time for myself. But I am not currently okay. I appreciate the well tidings very much so, but I'm not okay right now. And I'm not okay because right now we are in a very preventable quarantine situation that is disproportionately affecting people who look like me and who have been working very hard, very possibly to provide for their families and their loved ones. And by no fault of their own, they're no longer able to do so despite their best efforts. I'm upset and I'm not okay because that same administration is actively telling people that I and people who look like me are the cause, because we are trying to tell people that this country is not the same when you look like me. Yeah. I'm not okay because a lot of people are not okay on social media. And I'm a person that people see as themselves. And so when I am silent about something, people assume that is complicity. Right. I'm not okay because there's shit in my life beyond this that is affecting me. And I apologize for cursing.
Oh, please, curse as much as you want.
But I do want to be very candid and say that right now it's very important that people speak up when they're not okay, especially right now, because there is nothing more powerful than the truth and honesty to tell people how you're really feeling and let people understand what's really going on in your life. Earlier this month, I don't want to say the thing that kicked all of this off, because there's a whole myriad of things that we could just go down that led up to this ultimate moment, but I'm going to speak on a moment that I haven't spoken about publicly. And earlier this month, I actually was on a stream with MikeZ, Kai Kennedy, commentating a tournament that was organized by BG Callisto. I'm sorry, BJ Callisto. I always say BG. Ryan, he's so sweet. You guys probably know. And I was very excited for the opportunity to commentate, because it's been no secret that I really do want to commentate EVO. And I was excited for an opportunity to practice event casting again, because it's the last tournament that I was able to do it at, especially for Skullgirls, was eons ago. While I did commentate for Dragon Ball FighterZ and a few other games in the past, so I'm no stranger to event commentating. I finally got to commentate my game on a stream that I knew would be presented in a similar format to remind people of what offline tournaments look like. It would look exactly the same, essentially, to a viewer. It wouldn't be the same for everyone behind the curtain, but it would look exactly the same to just about anyone that was watching the match. And I was very excited to bring a sense of normality back to both my experience with gaming and everyone who was inside of my communities as well, because one of the things I was pushing before that moment was I actually hadn't verbally discussed Black Lives Mattered after the George Floyd video came out, because I watched that video and I realized that if anyone else watched that video, they wouldn't be able to see the good in people anymore. I couldn't finish that video. I broke down in tears like a small child. I'm not going to hide that fact. I couldn't finish it. That's where I was with it. And it really made it hard for me to go about the rest of my day and the rest of my week after I saw that video. And so I didn't expect anyone in their right mind to watch that video and stay silent, because I could barely do it. It's not easy to do. Right. So I had been trying to make an environment on my page where I was able to go through my timeline and not necessarily see pictures of people that look like me, specifically Black people, being attacked by cops, being attacked by fellow Americans, being attacked by even just other Black people for handling it wrong. I couldn't see it anymore without wanting to literally hurt myself. And that was something that I actively had to realize was happening in order for me to disconnect. Right. Because when you are in a content creator or even just like a community manager or influencer figure, you feel like it is your job to inform people who are watching you, because you feel like you have an obligation to do things. But in reality, you need to come first. And I'm very guilty of not always putting myself first when I do things. So this tournament was fantastic because I was excited for that opportunity to be like, look guys, our community may be going through things right now. We may not be in the best position in this world, but you know what? We're going to play some Skullgirls and we're going to freaking love it. And we're going to just talk for 2 hours and we're going to speak to one another and we're going to love. And that's what we're choosing to do right now. We are making a choice to do that. So the commentary set originally started with myself and Kai Kennedy. And I've commentated with Kai before. He's a great person. I really enjoy commentating with Kai. It was fun. I'm going to be very honest. It took us a little bit to get the levels together because commentating online is a little bit different than commentating in person, as I'm certain you guys both know and understand, having run the stream. But it's one of those things where it's just hard to find the same level, and yet somehow with Kai I was still able to match it. So I was very happy about that because I partially felt like, man, Kai is just so great at sensing levels and sensing energy and understanding and reading flow, because we're not even seeing the game at the same time. It's delayed. We're looking at this through Discord. And so all of our verbiage that we have to use, we have to essentially say before an action happens. So we kind of have to like be a little bit foretelling, which I mean, commentator cursed, right? But like this was next level. I was very impressed at the level that he was able to execute it and the level that I was able to match him, because I think that without previous exposure to event streaming, I think that I very easily would have floundered there. And so we skip past that. They rotate Mike in, and Mike and Kai have commentated very frequently. They actually commentated the money match that I'm very infamous for inside of Skullgirls. And I actually think their commentary was A-notch, honestly. I will actively say this. I do not believe that MikeZ's commentary is necessarily bad. I will state that. I think he's a very informative commentator. I think that he is a very well-known and person inside of the game. Like, he actively knows frame data. He knows how what your options are at any point in stage. He understands how the characters are supposed to interact with each other, and you get a different level of commentary with that. The problem becomes that Mike isn't a commentator. What I mean by that is that he says what comes to his mind, regardless of how it will be construed. And that is not something that you want to do when you're in commentary. Commentary is very much so about understanding the other person you're on mic with, understanding the pace of the game, and understanding what you need to call attention to inside of that moment. It's not necessarily about just filling up airtime or anything like that. It's about making sure that you're able to inform people that are watching, or anyone who just happens to tune into a VOD, that they completely understand what's going on, and you cover those points. You create that story and dialogue. You know what I mean? Well, obviously you guys do. So after Kai and Mike's block, I got back on for a TriCast. And I think previous to that, I ran with Mike on commentary for about an hour or something while Kai took a break. Because at that point, he had been on for quite some time. And I was also very well-winded. I'm sorry, not very well-winded. I was extremely tired at that point in time because my room is not very well ventilated. I know you guys can't tell from the static image on your screen right now, but there are next to no vents inside of my room, and I don't get a lot of air conditioning, so when I'm not streaming, when I don't have my camera on, and when I'm not utilizing my microphone, I have a fan on in my face so that I can circulate air. But when I do things like this, or when I go on commentary or something, that fan interferes with my microphone volume, so I can't have it on. And sometimes if my roommate is like on the phone with her family or something, then I can't have my door open because I don't want to interrupt them. So it was a situation where I was already tired from the set before, but I was excited. I'd commentated with Mike before. It hadn't been entirely positive, in my opinion, but it was a set that we did. And so I was trying to go into it with a positive attitude, hoping that I had studied enough and practiced enough again, to adequately be able to match Mike's level, necessarily not completely understanding that Mike wasn't going to be as easy to commentate with as Kai, just by nature of it, which it's not a slight towards him. He's more of a player than anything. It's just sometimes people don't always have like an ABC for commentating. They're just very free flowing. And so I had to be able to easily adapt to that. Yeah. I don't think the set went bad. I just think our synergy was off, and it wasn't incredibly easy for me to match a lot of his pacing, unfortunately, just because of I think our commentary styles just kind of clash a lot, unfortunately. And so anyway, we get into top 8, and there is a TriCast. It's now with Kai Kennedy, myself, and MikeZ, and we are all on mic. And I was not having a very... I was concerned that I wouldn't be able to actively bounce and volley with Mike. So essentially, whenever Mike said something, I would let Kai respond, and then I would try to respond afterwards, and I would go from there. I never wanted to be someone that led the conversation because I didn't feel like people were responding necessarily positive when Mike responded afterwards, so I just kind of let it chill. There is a moment that is now very infamous, and that is a moment, I believe it's Gelato and Lanba, or maybe I'm confused. I just remember that Gelato was playing, unfortunately. And it was a very, very impressive moment for Skullgirls there, because one player was completely deriving the other player of any opportunities to do anything. I call it the vortex, where you're just stuck there, and that person now controls the entire pace of the game, and you have no say about it, and your only option is to figure out if you know the right defensive answer for this, right? And the other player was kind of defeated at that point. So it wasn't happening. There was a statement that Mike said. He claims it was a joke. It was not interpreted by myself to be a joke or funny in any way, shape, or form. And I really, really wanted to support Mike here. On the clip, you can even hear me starting to laugh before, just because I wanted to go into that with a positive vibe, smiling, happy. Yeah, this player really removed all his options. He is absolutely floored right now. He's against a wall in a hard place. You know what I mean? Both me and Kai are like, he's completely busted right now. He's stuck. He's there. And then Mike says, would you say that he can't breathe? In that moment, I truly, genuinely believe that if there was camera on, I would probably get in trouble for not conducting myself professionally in that moment. I shouldn't say in trouble, actually. I shouldn't say that, because I think that there are enough people inside of the Skullgirls community and the general fighting game community that would understand my outrage if they saw me, but it took a lot to not verbalize it.
Yeah.
It took a lot.
You know, not to interject or anything, but, you know, I just kind of want to say, like, as a person, you know, when you hear something like that, I got to imagine it's just like your stomach just dropped, and like it's hard to even think and process at that moment, right?
There were things going through my head. I'm a black woman that lives in the suburbs. I grew up around like very wealthy and influential people that don't think that they're wealthy and influential at all. And I'm the first of 5 children, later to be 8 after my father got remarried. So a lot of the things that they had and they took for granted, I didn't necessarily have. And they're not to place Mike inside of this box, but that kind of took me back to when I was a kid, and then someone would just say something like, well, you're just poor. You're just poor. You're just poor. Of course, black people don't have money. Of course, there was I actually really, I really liked dolls specifically when I was in 2nd grade. I collected Barbie dolls that I would get all the time, and I'd like wash their hair, and I'd try to like do it, but it's doll hair, so it like wouldn't stick and everything. And I remember taking them to school for show and tell, and this other girl told me that all of my dolls were ugly because they had black skin. And I kind of went there for a moment. And a lot of my feelings made me feel like this person that I had known and respected for a very long time. It made me very much so feel like an other, if that makes sense. It made me very much so feel like I wasn't a part of the family anymore. It made me feel like it doesn't matter the type of thing that you like, you'll always be different and no one will really understand. And here's someone that you know has helped you in the past and has actively cared about your success and championed a game that you also enjoy, and they're saying this about you. That was really a very hard moment for me to process, because I've gone through that moment before with people that I work with people that I happen to be inside of a room with, and with people that I wouldn't consider necessarily like family, but people that just happen to be inside of my family exclusively due to marriage or blood or whatever, right? That's one of the very first times that I've let someone in this close to me that has shared a sentiment like that, because I'm pretty good at vetting people. And so when that moment happened, immediately there's just this disconnect, and I just kind of shut down for about a second. And then I look at camera, and I immediately start mouthing the words, "What the fuck, Mike?" I know no one could see the camera,
right,
and I understand that. But that's what that silence was. Me angrily yelling without anything. I even mute my microphone at the moment because I have to do it, and I'm scared that there's going to be something audible, even though I know I'm not putting anything or any energy behind my vocal cords. I'm concerned because I know myself, and because I know how passionate I get when I'm upset. It took a lot for me to control myself where I could even put down words about that moment publicly. And I regret even publicly commenting necessarily on that moment, because I don't believe I was in a state to publicly comment on it. I think a lot of people pressured me into commenting about it early when I really wasn't in a good place at all at that moment. And it felt like no one really I shouldn't say no one, because my friends cared a lot about me. A lot of my friends reached out to me, and a lot of my friends were there the very next day as soon as they found out about the clip. And they made sure I was okay. But I wasn't really in a position or a headspace to acknowledge it to people that I didn't know. I wasn't in a head state or a place to necessarily talk about how I felt, because I didn't even know how I felt. I stayed up all night crying, just thinking if I did get Evo commentary based off like that entire moment. I don't know if my game's even going to be in Evo anymore. I don't know if I'm even going to be considered, because I just let there be dead air for 15 seconds. I wasn't able to handle that, and that happens all the time on mic. Someone could say literally anything, and you have to be ready to deal with it. And that's what being a professional commentator is being ready to deal with anything that's blown at you and focusing on that moment. And I wasn't able to do that in that moment. Part of me was really disappointed in myself for not yelling at him immediately. We went to, I think, commercial break immediately after that set. I don't remember how much longer it was, because I'm going to be honest, I was just kind of tuned out the rest of the tournament.
Oh, yeah.
Admittedly, it was really hard for me to get there again. It was very difficult for me. I tried my best. I went outside on the beef bake. I went to the bathroom, drank a little bit of water. I tried. And I couldn't get there again at all organically, and it hurt trying to force myself to be there.
I mean, again, sorry not to interrupt or anything, but even as both of us are commentators, I don't know that we would have been able to say anything right away either, so I wouldn't hold that against yourself, It's just,
I completely understand that literally everyone inside of the industry understands what I was going through, but I've never publicly... I think there are a lot of people in general that don't understand what it's like when you're on microphone.
Yeah.
And don't understand how permanent a lot of these moments are for us, and how we have to treat every single moment like it's permanent. When someone... I will say the very first thing that I was actively upset about was the fact that something as important as equality for African Americans and accountability for police officers and other authority figures that implement laws, the thing that really bothered me specifically about it was that entire movement, that entire idea was being utilized for something as trivial as 3 seconds inside of a Skullgirls match. That is not fair. That is not fair. That is so incredibly disrespectful. And that's mostly, honestly, what I spoke to Mike about, was the fact that was not okay. Because my parents have fought very, very, very hard for me to get to a point inside of my life where I'm able to even have a chance of success. And their parents fought before them, and their parents were sharecroppers and slaves. My grandmother was the daughter of a slave. This is not something that is just a blip in time. This is something that is actively history. And to even think that anyone knows enough about it to comment on it as a metaphor or a reference to something occurring inside of a video game for a short period of time is in and of itself so incredibly arrogant and disrespectful that I genuinely... You know what? My mother always told me if I don't have nothing nice to say, not to say it. So I'm a hold that. I'm a hold that right there. Okay? But what I will say...
Up to you.
I'm a hold that right there, because I was letting myself get to a place where I don't want to be. So I'm not going to continue that. What I will say is that moment was very painful for me, especially being the only black woman in the room at the time, because I felt like everybody was outraged. Everybody was. I was the only black woman that was there at that moment, and so I felt a lot of people just felt like I needed to be the collective black anger at that moment.
Yeah.
There's another portion later where Mike actually comes back, and I believe after the very next match, or at the end of the match, Mike apologizes in the best way that he knows how, verbally, which I actually believe was a relatively sincere apology, but I don't believe that it should have been rushed at that moment. I don't believe he should have apologized immediately on that stream until I genuinely believe that he should have apologized after the tournament had concluded, in his personal time after that moment, because I think it's very, very disrespectful to comment on something that serious in the middle of a match. Okay. I think it is. And I think especially because of the way that he did it, where he interrupted the whole motion of everything to do it, was very rude as well. And I felt like it deserved a good 5-minute apology, and I don't think Stream necessarily had that amount of time to give him. I think it would be rude to ask for that amount of time from Stream because of you fucking up. I think that's, you look at yourself, you sit there, and you think about how you felt, and then bring those feelings forward. Right. I think that's what needed to happen, which is why I was recommending that he did not apologize afterwards, because I believed that he needed to look inward and then apologize. Not on stream. Not on stream. None of that. I don't think that that was fair at all. The written apology bothered me. I think it bothered a lot of people because it didn't necessarily show that he believed it was wrong. It was very wishy-washy. I think a lot of people felt that way. My statement was because I was concerned about his actual health. I was genuinely concerned that Mike was going to not be okay. And so I asked people to just let him breathe and not super harp on him, because if there's one person that I have seen have to go through a lot of negative press inside of our community that's not Sonic Fox, it's Mike. This was even before Skullgirls came out. He was just always somebody like that. People just make headlines about him. That's not necessarily something I wanted him to have to go through again. Even for this moment, I really wanted him to grow. I really, really, really wanted him to take this moment and own it and be like, I did something inconceivably horrible and I feel trash about it and I need to apologize for what happened there. And that's not necessarily how the apology came out from him. I can't speak on why he chose to write it that way or how it was construed, because I didn't construct any part of it. But I just know that I felt as though this entire thing, very honestly, as sorry as I am to say this, I felt like it was going to be another blip in an already terrible month. That's where I was with it. I had watched a man start to suffocate for 2 minutes earlier that week. And I thought that people would understand that there wasn't malice in his original intent to do it, and would focus on issues that were actively occurring inside of this nation. But people were very, very, very mad. They were much less forgiving than myself. I think that I try very hard to be an empathetic person. I try very hard to be a caring person. And intent is very important for me. And so when I see someone do something without malicious intent, it's hard for me to see them as inherently evil or inherently bad. There are a lot of people who don't do well on social media in general, just because people like to think it's all that exists anymore, but there was a time period back when this was just nothing, when we were just forum, when every single word that we put out was very, very carefully curated. There was no huge search engine that can now just pull up anything that you've posted in the past 10 years, literally in the blink of an eye. There was no static location. There was Ask Jeeves, AOL keywords, and maybe Yahoo. Like, that was it. So I understand very much so that there are a lot of people that social media is not kind to. And I try very hard to judge people on the merit of themselves and not necessarily how they are portrayed on the internet, because I understand that the internet is only a small clip of anybody's life. After the statements that I saw in the past 48 hours, it occurred to me, because I was one of the very first people that Carbon had gone to originally when she had an encounter with Mike, and she told me about the moment.
Okay.
I was the only person I believe she felt comfortable speaking to at that moment, and it was very important to me that we handled that moment correctly. I didn't go to staff, and this is something that I really do regret, because I think that I actually did handle it inappropriately. I spoke with other members inside of the community, and I told them to make sure that someone was around her the entire time, and to make sure that she was able to leave any encounter that she wanted. And I only spoke to people that I ultimately trusted, that I really, really knew, and it was literally 5 people, who I won't necessarily share with right now, but one of those people did actually sign the Skullgirl statement, and I was really empowered when he did. I felt really, really good about that. But what I'm realizing now is that because I specifically told her that if I found out that this ever happened again, I would make sure that the person that caused this was never allowed in the community again. Mm-hmm. Ever. It just wasn't okay. She was a new player that had just come here to cosplay a video game that she happened to play eons ago, and she was verbally harassed by the developer of the game that she came there to play, and she was considering leaving. My very first interaction with the FGC wasn't incredibly positive, so moments like that are very important to me, especially when women tell me about them, because that's the reason I didn't join the Marvel community, and that's the reason I played Melee before I played Skullgirls. That's the reason why. I didn't join Marvel, because people were being a gigantic butthole to me. And just making sure that my first experience was not positive. Mm-hmm. And that sat with me so incredibly wrong. That's something I've never wanted to see inside of our community. And so when I see later someone else DMing Mike from a place of, I want information about this game, and then them coming out with the ultimate understanding that they no longer are interested in this game and they're no longer excited about this game, that sits so wrong with me. That is a problem. And that's always been a problem inside this community, is that there are people that everyone in the community doesn't want to address. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people like that. And I'm ashamed to say that I believe that I did actually not handle it properly when I chose to allow that moment to happen. I genuinely believe that. I've since talked to people, and I've talked to Carbon and everything, and we've discussed it, and it's been brought up to organizers and everything, and the consensus is that because things were unfortunately not shared with staff prior by the QZ, there wasn't very much that would have been done regardless. Even if I had shared the moment, if Carbon didn't share it, then it wouldn't matter, was the consensus, unfortunately. And I understand that. I completely understand that. It's just part of me feels responsible when moments like this happen because of something that I did or something that I acted. And ultimately, it's being kind to myself and understanding that I am human, I err, and it's about learning from that experience. And I think because I went through that experience, I now understand how to handle experiences in the future and how to grow from that, which is an ever-moving process. But I think that you have to go through something like that and look back at it and to recognize when it happens again and recognize when there is a problem. The first time, okay, maybe it was a mistake. There is more than enough happenstance in this world to cover something randomly happening. Like, my freaking mic could explode right now, and it wouldn't even necessarily be out of the idea of likely probability. Nobody would be that surprised. It'd be cool, but it wouldn't be like, the world is burning. You know what I mean? So it would be understandable to me if it happened once. It happening twice, after the community was made aware, after the community spoke with him privately, is a problem. That combined, obviously, with the moment that I spoke regarding earlier, and not necessarily having, I want to say, the necessary awareness to understand that that's unacceptable, really made it so that I felt that there was no option but to remove Mike from commentary and remove him from tournaments and offline and online for a period of time. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys tonight. Thank you so much for giving me a platform. I'm sorry I don't know how to graciously end this. I'm not Sajam, I can't do segues, okay? Look, I don't know.
No need. No need.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for having me, and I really do want to thank you so much, David, because I know you had originally reached out to me to do this last week, and I apologize in the tardiness that it took for me to get back, but I really do appreciate you still giving me an opportunity to speak, because, who would have guessed that I would have actually needed it, right? But I just want to thank you both for having me on the show, and it was a pleasure speaking to both of you guys. I know we haven't worked together prior, but I do see and respect the support that you guys both have given me. Specifically, you, James, I know you've retweeted quite a few of my tweets before and helped promote me and Skullgirl, so I really do appreciate that. Yeah. And I just hope that you guys continue to be amazing in these very trying times, and I hope that your life ultimately does get better after these moments. All right?
Well, I hope the same for you. Of course. Thanks a lot for coming on again. I would say that while I think it's true that when you are commentating, there are some expectations about how you should handle it if you're trying to be a professional. I don't think that moment was one of those things where the expectation is to be professional. Right. So there are, however you handled it, don't be upset at yourself for not having been a pro. Mm-hmm. Don't feel that you needed to have been a pro in that moment. That's one of those moments that is just not a standard commentary thing that anybody needs to learn, right? That's just one of those moments that would catch anybody off guard.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I actually really needed to hear that. People have told me that before, but I'm still, if you can't tell, I'm having issues not being mad at myself and holding myself to a higher standard. I feel like whenever I go on microphone, I'm representing specifically my younger stepsister and my younger half sister, and I want them to be able to look at any content I make and just be proud of me, especially when I'm commentating.
Yeah.
So I try to think about that, and while I don't think they would have been disappointed at me, I would have loved to bring them a show that would make them really proud to say, hey, Sheila's here, she's on this stream, she's so cool, I want to be just like her when I grow up. I'm like, that would just make me so happy, So I have this whole idea of how I need to be in my head that isn't necessarily fair to myself, and I appreciate you letting me know that it's okay to be human. Thank you very much.
Absolutely right. Yeah, and I'm sure there'll be many moments in the future where your sisters can be proud, for sure. I think this is probably one right here.
Again,
so, nicely done. Thank you.
It's
all right. I'm gonna go ahead and dip. I'm assuming I can. Is it okay if I rattle off my social, even though they won't be updated for the next 2 weeks while I'm engaging in
Go for it.
self-health care? I am at DaPurpleSharpie, DaPurpleSharpie, on literally every single platform. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and of course, Facebook. may it rest in peace. But most notably, one of the things I will be doing, which I actually should say, is I will still be streaming relatively infrequently for the next couple of weeks. So if you guys, for some reason or for whatever reason, want to see me playing video games, I will not be announcing it anywhere. I'll exclusively be going live randomly on twitch.tv/DaPurpleSharpie, and you can check me out there. I really will not be promoting myself at all these upcoming weeks, and I apologize about that, but please understand that right now I am in a place where I really just need to work on me for a multitude of reasons.
One of the things
please
that you
suffice
said,
it to say that I understand myself and I need to do this. Yeah. So thank you very much.
You got
All right.
it.
Well,
you guys have a blessed evening. Thank you so much.
One thing that I just want to say before you go is just,
yes.
you know, you said this very, very early on, and, you know, as a community leader and as influencer like you are, a lot of the times one of the hardest things to do is to make sure that we take care of ourselves. And so I just want to say in the next 2 weeks, definitely, you know, take your time, do everything you need to take care of yourself, and, you know, and yeah, just we'll wait when you come back and take as long as you need, basically.
Thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate that so much. And you guys genuinely be kind to yourself. I know it's not easy right now. It's not easy for African Americans, not easy for people of color, and it's not easy for all of us. So please, 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 please be kind to yourselves. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much again. Bye.
Thank you. See you. All right. Well, thanks so much again to Sharpie for popping in. In addition, thanks to Anonymous for gifting us a bunch of subs. We really appreciate that. Yeah. That's super nice. A bunch of gifted subs in the chat. So, thanks again to Sharpie. So, we have one more guest for today. And that guest may be in now.
Oh, do we have him already? Okay.
Can you hear
Hey, I think you're in now. All right, cool.
Hey,
I hear you.
Can we hear him? Can we hear him?
Ultra Davey, what's up?
Hey, buddy.
How's it going? Why can't I hear James? Is James here?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me at all? Can you hear me?
A little bit. Maybe it's my volume.
Raise my volume bar up. People have said they've been having trouble hearing me for some reason. So let's get you into the screenshot over here. XSplit is being weird on me right now.
I just want you guys to know I have the shittiest lighting ever. Okay, you guys probably haven't watched my stream, but it's pretty bad.
Yeah, come on.
Oh, okay, it's pretty shitty when it comes to the lighting. What's up, y'all? What's goody, guys?
Welcome back.
Hey, thanks a lot for joining us. What was that?
Welcome back.
What's goody?
Welcome back in a way. Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, that's true. It's been quite a long time. I want you to know it still says in my Twitter heading. I don't know how much longer. 1/4 of the awesome. Really? It still says it. You know, it's my small claim to fame. I just want to make sure that people know. You know.
People don't know Steve used to come on to the Ultra 10 Tuesday show, but that was a super long drive for you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and not easy to do. And I mean, I'm happy that you did it for a while, but
I enjoy myself, so it's not like I enjoy myself, so it's okay. Trust me, I have fun. You know, for me, I already told you, and I still like mean that. Like, it was an honor for me, you know what I'm saying, to come out and like work with y'all. I know y'all some legends to me, man. Part of one of the reasons I do this is because of you guys.
All right. Thanks to Wild Monk SFP in the chat for the gifted subs yet again.
Hey,
much obliged. So, like with everybody else, what we are doing is not intended to be like a normal interview, right? We are inviting you on to talk about your experience in the FGC or in the larger world as a black person. However that strikes you, we just want to hear your thoughts and understand your perspective a little bit more. The floor is yours.
Okay. Well, first off, I do want to say, man, I'm not going to try to take up too much time, but I do want to, I know Boeken, I know Sharpie as well, so like, I just want to say, man, I do hope that they're both doing all right. I hope every person of color in the community is doing all right. I just hope everybody in the community, is doing all right, because like, it's like a revolution going on outside, and it's a lot of things, a lot of emotions are on high. That's not including, you know, what's going on per se in the scene, and I say per se because there's a lot of people doing some goofy shit in the scene that looks like they should be getting out of the scene. And yeah, I know it's a touch and go thing for everybody out there. because it's a very like trying time, and you have a lot of people out there that it's not that they don't understand what's happening. It's just that a lot of people don't know how to take what's happening. Sharpie said something about talking about how people register what's happening, whether it be on the small side, on the side of being a black person in the community, or being a black person in the world, or being a woman of color in this community, or being a woman of color in this world, or any denomination at this point, especially when it comes to just people of color. And David, like I've talked to you personally a couple times about like you going out and just preaching the Lord, man, and going to these protests, bro. I got mad. It is so much respect that I have for you. Like, I literally have so much respect for you. I know you're a person that cares a lot for people, so it warms my heart to know that like we got people in the community that I can talk to, that check on me, because I definitely had a lot of people who called and checked on me, and people were just sending me messages, and what I'm saying, like that hit me. Like, I was like, man, like, hey, there's the kitty. It's very foreign to me to be a black man and be in a world where I see all these people for me to speak to as an ally. And I'm being 100% honest when I say that. And everybody who knows me knows that like I'm a super talkative person. I'm always about like trying to be cordial, speak, especially if I consider you a friend. I'm always going to be that. But it's getting to that point where like I'm hearing about all these instances of people stepping out and putting themselves not only in a situation to do and say stupid shit on streams in this community, but you have people that are going above and beyond to show that like they don't care to get it and they don't care to understand. And personally, like I've been taking Mondays on my stream to just kind of open up the floor, much how you guys open up the floor for people of color, for anybody who would want to come in there and talk, as long as it's like sensibly, right? And I just think it's I just want to say I thank the community, man. Like, and I know everybody can't say the same, especially about like what's happening in the world right now, but I want to tell y'all, man, the fighting game community is like some next level shit. Like, I can't express it enough. I can't put it into words. I really wish that I could, but if I could tell y'all the story of my love for the community and where it came from, it's completely different. And it sucks that we have people out here that are kind of tarnishing like that feel that I get for the community. One of the only reasons that I live in California is because I met people in a community. Like, I didn't have, and I still don't have any nets out here. Like, if anything happens to me, like, I'm just gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's part of one of the reasons I really want to go to these protests. I really want to, go out there with people. But I don't know people out here. I am solo out in this bad boy. So when it comes to opening up a floor and having space for people to talk about the community and what it's done for them, I'm like, personally, like, I love to tell people, man. A lot of people don't know this, but like, the only reason I live in California is because of two people I met in an arcade an hour and a half away from where I live, or where I live in Missouri. I'm from the Midwest. I am from a red state. I am 36 years old. I've been dealing with racism since the desegregation program hit my life, and I was actually changed from city schools to county schools because the education was that much better. And there's just the fact that, like, the desegregation program is just that. That was when I went from a completely black school to a school that had mixtures of all races. And I can tell you right now, that was the first time in my life I had seen that many white people in a place at one time. And damn right I was freaked out. I was like, oh man, there's a lot of white people here, you know what I'm saying? And it's not like I was like, oh man, I gotta back up or I gotta chill out. But it's one of those things that, like, it's a culture thing. You learn more about yourself by being in those situations. It's one of the reasons that, I am the person that I am, is because of that desegregation program. And so when I try to tell people that, like, I've been experiencing this for a very long time, and that it makes me feel so much happier to see, I'm in a community that has that space to, like, talk to friends and, like, have David call me and have, like, Seg check on me and have Mark Man check and have Logan Simon be like, yo, what's up? You know what I'm saying? And I feel like it's my duty as well, even though I'm definitely not good at it. I still need to be checking on people just the same. And I think it's important. Like, I think it's so important in the community right now like in the community right now that like we understand that like this community is a community. It's not like, and I know for some, once again, and I know for some that's definitely not the case right now. That's definitely not the case right now. But every time I think about this community, I think about Paul and Monique. You know what I'm saying? I think about those people. I think about Sukin. You know what I'm saying? I think about everybody. I think about Ella Verling. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think about Sherry Jennings. You know what I'm saying? I think about those people who I know. Like, you guys, y'all put that shit on y'all back. Like, that's not easy. So when you have, like, people out here taking advantage of people in the community, you have people that don't see some of the wrong that is going on out here and how that applies to the people in this community, it's going to make a lot of people frustrated. And I can tell you right now, for the longest time, like, I did not feel like I had a space to have that talk with people in this community. I can honestly say that. I did not feel like I had that space. But I will tell you, I 100% feel like I have that space now. And it's because of all the people that have been reaching out, all the retweets, David going to protest, James retweeting all this stuff. And I have a lot of people that's just in, you know, games in general that are going extra hard for the cause, man. My boy Malik Forte, you know, like there are so many people. My friend Aaron in New York, who produces a lot of content, just talking about, you know, what Black Lives do in the gaming space, not just the fighting game community. There are so many things that, you know, have transpired to make sure that, like, I always want to put the best face forward for the community, man. We've all have come a long way. I'm definitely grown from where I've come from in the Midwest, and there's definitely been a lot of things that I've learned about myself as well as the world as I continue to, like, you know, go out here, talk about video games, and just be a better person. Because in all honesty, like, that's what we're supposed to be. We're also supposed to be taking care of each other. We're also supposed to be looking out for each other. Because one of the reasons that I cherish this community so much is because, like, of course, I play video games, right? And I am a black man first. But when you find people that you can get close to, like, and you can talk to them and you can relate to them, not only on the sense of color, that's what, you know, builds that community. Being able to talk and associate with y'all. Because, like, believe it or not, like, this is a place to go to, you know what I'm saying, to find people to get closer with. That's why it drives me crazy that I see people like out in the world that's happening and constantly like shifting this narrative of, you know, I just feel like it's so separate. I feel like people want to push that narrative of being separate, but in all honesty, like, I'm just here to say, man, I hope everybody is okay. Like, I'm checking. I want everybody to, like, check in on each other. That's the point of what we're doing here, man. I see, once again, man, Mama Dow was somebody else I've also talked about in the community of people that I like to talk to, that I know have the best interest of people out here. So it's kind of an evolving thing, excuse me, because it's scary to be in this time where it is people learning for the first time what it's like to be a person of color in these situations. And if you take that and you spread it to every other situation that you can be in outside of video games, having somebody that you can talk to about that, express that, you know what I'm saying, and have somebody that does understand or can try to understand that, like, it's not easy the same way that it is for some other people out here. There are people that benefit from the system better than others. You know what I'm saying? And and I've never been one. Excuse me, once again, shitty lighting coming in here. I've never been the person to kind of go out of my way to pinpoint or anything like that. But I'm here to tell you right now, man. Like, it's definitely a different feeling being in this space, because I remember long before, you know, George Floyd happened, you know what I'm saying? Like, I remember hearing the stories, you know, Trayvon Martin, you know, Tamir Rice, if you don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much stuff that happens, you know. Elijah McClain just recently. All these things are happening not only in the space of right now or in the past few months or in the past 2 weeks. This has been happening for years. One of the reasons that I say I'm a 36-year-old male is because I remember moving out here, you know, and the Mike Brown incident happened. You know, I was in California, and that was 10, 15 minutes from my mama's house. Like, that's where that happened. So when I'm listening to people, you know, 1,800 miles away here say things like, oh, man, like, that little kid should have did this or they should have did that. I don't know how people I wish people understood how that sounded to me. Like, when you say, like, oh man, like, this kid deserved that, or this woman deserved that, or this man deserved that, like, I'm like, bro, you talking about me. Like, you're not talking about random people. You're not talking about every person. You're not highlighting any of those people. You're saying, hey, that person right there. And if there's 2, those people right there. And if there's 3, those people right there. That's the shit that people need to be aware of. Because when you make jokes, when you point fingers, you make fun and all of that shit, you're literally telling me you don't care. That's what I see. I see people being like, nah, man, like, you crack a joke about this shit, you're literally saying, Steve, I don't care if you're alive. How does that sound? Like, think about that shit. What if somebody told you, oh, man, I'm not a fan, I don't like black people like that. Or they just say some hateful shit under their breath. Think about that shit. When I made that tweet about my father, I called my father and I told him about that myself. I said, hey man, I want you to know that you taught me some shit that I didn't, like, I understood at the time, but I didn't know at the time. Like, he told me that and I was more upset than anything. I'm like, why would you say that? Like, why would you try to instill that in me? And like, as I got older, like, there's so many incidents. Woo, man, look, I am 36 years old. There are so many incidents that I can rattle off and let you know how uncomfortable it is to be in some of these situations, knowing that somebody could give a fuck less about you. That's the thing. And operating in a space of, only imagine corporate America, right? Imagine having a 9 to 5. I used to make sandwiches at Subway, bro. I used to work at a Family Dollar. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy out here. Especially for, it's not easy out here, but it's definitely not easy for people of color. And like, that's what I'm trying to like give people. I want people to know that like, it's so, the perspective changes the minute you go to a different color. And it does not affect everybody. It does not. And that's why I fuck with y'all, man. That's why I fuck with a lot of people in the community. My boy Mark, man, y'all be looking out. And I come from a place where it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. So put that into perspective. Like, I heard Sharpie's story and I was like, bro, you don't even have to worry about being professional in that instance. Because if it was me, I don't even know. Like, I can talk about video games till I'm blue in the face. I can talk about comics, Captain America, Civil War. Y'all already know. I could do that shit till I'm blue in the face. I was like, but if you really want to know, what it's like to move around, navigate, and try to be successful, not only in the fighting game community, try doing that shit in America. Try doing it. Try doing it in America. That's why I say, man, Sharpie, yo, you better than me. And I know Mike. I know MikeZ. And I still don't know what I would have did. I still don't know what I would have said. So once again, when you make jokes like that, when you make that joke, you're actually telling me you don't care whether I live or die. So it changes everything when it doesn't affect you the same way. It changes so much when you can get somebody who has not lived, who has not been pulled over for walking, had a gun pointed in their face, being racially profiled, you know what I'm saying, being pulled to the side for no reason. Think about how that affects those people around you. And I'm talking about women of color, LGBTQ plus, all. Think about that. I don't even need to only apply it to myself, because that's what I do now. Right now, whenever at any point, I'm like, damn, what if that was me? Like, what if that was me? Like, I can say this in this instance, but when I think about everything else, I'm like, bro, like, I know what that feels like. So I'm never gonna pass judgment on that shit. Like, if you feel a way, that's why I'm so happy that this floor exists. That's why I'm happy that this community exists. Boeken said that, like, we're definitely headed towards this, you know, more formulated understanding and having a more documented way of operating in the community. But I'm gonna tell you right now, like, when I was in St. Louis, my community that taught me how to play games was Sean Riviera, Brad Vitale. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to give out their governments or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Diedrich Harris. These are people of all nationalities. Anuj Dharan. Hopefully I'm saying my boy's name right. But these are some of my best friends in my life right now. To this day. And they came from a mixed community. The reason that I am involved in this community is because of those people. So I know that it's not hate from every angle. I know that it's not hate. I have a strong understanding of that. But when you put into the prospect of the fact that, like, I come from St. Louis, Missouri. I know exactly what some of these things people think they know look like. I know what that look like. I know what that blatant racism looks like. I'm telling you right now, I will never hit you with anything this negative, but I will tell you right now, I know what blatant racism looks like. I know what it's like to have somebody call you an N-word with the ER right in front of your face. Believe that or not. Sometimes you gotta go to the other route. Sometimes you gotta go the other route. I remember I was in high school, I got in trouble because I told a white kid that I would break his jaw if he said the N-word again. That's a quote. I thought I was gonna break his jaw. And I'm not that kind of person anymore. I'm not. But the fact of the matter is, I remember that specifically. And that's when I was in high school. And these are the people that grew up to me. They grew up with me. You know what I'm saying? And now I got to go back on Facebook. All these people still stay in St. Louis, Missouri. They still stay there. I'm deleting people all the time that want to try to trivialize. That want to use the mental gymnastics. Want to use this history of hate to try to, you know, push forward this agenda of like, well, hey man, this is just how it is, and this is that and other. If anybody telling you that shit, tell them to shut the fuck up. Please tell them to shut the fuck up. Because I do not want to deal with this shit no more. Push now. That's why I'm happy David is hitting these. Man, I'm so happy you hitting these protests, and I'm never going to stop tweeting about this shit. And if you get tired of it, unfollow me now, because it's never going to stop. It's never going to stop. Not for me. Definitely not for me. And if you fuck with me, it ain't gonna stop from you either. That's how I feel. This is a very clear thing. It's so clear. Because if you look at like what's happened over the past, 70, 80, 100, 400 years, systematic oppression has been there. I've seen that shit. I know what that shit look like. I know what that shit looks like firsthand. So when I start to see the world changing for the better, when I see people out there, I see allies, you know what I'm saying? I see people that I can talk to. I see Boeken out here teaching black people Japanese. Bro, that's a dream. I got so much respect for Boeken because I want to learn Japanese. You know what I'm saying? And like to see that I have somebody of a familiar face that can teach me that I can talk to about that does so much for me. Because not everybody is afforded that vision. Not everybody don't get a chance to look at and get a hold of these bigger things. They don't always get a chance to be like, well, hey, man, I could just move away from this. I could just pick up and go. You can't pick up and go from being black. You can't pick up and go from being black and gay. You know, you can't pick up and go from being black and trans. You know what I'm saying? You can't pick up and go from being black and non-binary. Like, there's always going to be that stigma that's put on you by society because of the way you look, something you have no fucking control over, and they hold you to that shit. I've had so many discussions about like how it works here and how it works there. I could tell you a story about how I was working at Round 1 Arcade in La Puente, right? And I was walking back from work, staying with a friend, and I got pulled over walking by the cops. Dude pulled up on me with his gun drawn. I'm wearing a hoodie, slack pants, you know what I'm saying, slacks, because I have to wear slacks at work. He pulls up on me, lights going crazy, you know what I'm saying, but he had his gun drawn, right? Why? I don't know. 2, I do know, because I'm a black dude, you know what I'm saying, but he comes to me and asks me, hey, do you stay around here? I'm like, nah, I'm just, you know, hanging out, going to a friend's house. I'm staying here because I'm working. Oh, you don't live around here? I'm like, nah. He's like, that's good because I know everybody around here. I would have known, you know. And I'm like, the hell's that mean, you know? But you can't say that. You can't say that. He's got a gun on you. Would you go get smart to the dude with a gun on you? And I'm walking. I'm literally, this is not, I ain't had no skateboard, no moped, no scooter, none of that shit. I was walking. And this cop was like, yo, bro, what you bang? He sees the tattoo on my neck. He's like, what you bang? I'm not from California. I don't know what that means. I'm like, bro, I was like, I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't know what that means. He's like, you gang bang. I'm like, nah, bro, that ain't me. And he was like, well, I'm going to tell you something. You need to be careful around here. And I'm like, careful for what? And just goes off. So to some people who are not familiar, that just seems like either a normal interaction. Maybe it's a not normal interaction. But how many people out here can say that they've been literally had a gun pointed at them for walking down the street? Not on one occasion, but more than one occasion. Like, think about that shit. Like, there are so many people affected by what's happening right now. Not on the sense of, you know, it's happening now, but this is years. This is actual, literally fucking years that people have dealt with this. My grandmother has dealt with this. And I guarantee you, if you need any more examples, ask your grandmother what was happening. Ask her. Don't ask her, just ask her. And just say, hey, how are black people treated? Ask her. If you really need more, just look at the history. It's there. So when I see somebody out there making a joke, when I come from a crazy racist ass Missouri and I've seen people do things just filled with just prejudice and hate, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know what that looks like. So when I'm looking at other people kind of do it on some, you know, some backhanded, you know, oh, well, I'm going to try to keep it under the rug and slide it like this and say it under my breath. Don't let me find out. Don't let me find out. Because you ain't got to say shit to me. And once again, that goes for anybody out there. Don't joke about my life. Do not joke about my life. That's what I want to say. My life is not a joke. If you've ever talked to me, you know that I'm a real person. And we may be from different places all around this bad boy. But please don't joke about my life. Because I can give you 1,000 instances of which you would want me to help you. I can give you so many instances. You slip and fall, you're going to want somebody to help you. You get into a car accident, you're going to want somebody to help you. You know what I'm saying? And this comes after just being human. That's after being a black person, man. Think about that shit. Think about that. My father told me, and I mean that shit, and I'm going to say it again. You get 3 strikes living in America. You get 3. That's it. That goes for everybody. And I got 2 against me. 1, I'm black. 2, I'm a black man in America. And that's how I operated. That's how I operated. If I go into corporate America, that was the thought process that I had. And that's about, like, me living. You know what I'm saying? That's just to make money to survive. And I actually went on and I was telling other people, man, I was like, they was like, what is it like being a black person in your space? I was like, people think that I do this because I love games, and I do, you know what I'm saying? And I like, more than most shit, I love video games. But the way that I wear my hair is a direct representation of my culture. Because there are places all around the country to this day, Missouri being one of them, that can still fire you for having your hair just like this. I do this in the community to show other black people around the world that I'm a man of my profession and I can look whatever the fucking way I want to. And it doesn't mean anything about what I bring to my profession. I'm still going to be passionate about what I do. I'm still going to do it with the utmost. But it ain't got shit to do with the way I look. And anybody who, you guys know me. Y'all know me. So y'all, if y'all see me like this, like Steve's got a new hairdo, imagine what that looks like to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And once again, that's why I fuck with y'all. I remember I came down on commentary, my hair was looking crazy as hell. And I sat right next to Mark, man, and ain't nobody say shit. Imagine if I went into another job to make a fucking sandwich and they fired me. Like, but I say all that to say is that, like, the community has definitely pushed me in areas that I would not have made it to, coming from where I came from. That's just it. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Paul, Monique, Sukin, you know, the friends that I meet, Mark, man, Rip, everybody, you know what I'm saying? Dishes, Jeremy, Lewis, like all of those, I appreciate that. If y'all ever want to know why I am the way I am towards you guys, because I appreciate y'all. I'm not joking. I appreciate y'all. We can all grow. Monique has taught me so much shit about myself. I will never. Logan Sama literally just said this to Monique, like, because Monique was like, hey man, she made a comment about like being in the space, and I say, well look man, I saw that, and I know for a fact that Monique has made me a better person. And that's somebody that I met through this community. That is a woman that I've met in this community. My friend Paul, that is somebody that I've met in this community. Before I knew what the fighting game community was, I knew what that community was. I knew all these people, and they still, Sukin helped me even though I knew Sukin before he knew who I was. And I didn't even know who that dude was. Like, I can't tell that story enough. How much that has meant to me. Like, and everybody out there, if y'all like, just to let y'all know, if y'all fuck with me, forever thankful. Forever thankful. Because like I said before, man, I never thought in a million years, like, me playing video games and meeting people was going to take me to Japan from coming from Walnut Park, bro. And if you know what Walnut Park is, you know it's called some not nice names. They got some crazy nicknames for that place. And I guarantee most of you probably ain't never heard them before. But the way my mother raised me and the way that my father raised me was to treat people how I would like to be treated. That's why I carry myself the way that I carry myself. I treat everybody how I would like to be treated. So when James gives me a hug and I sit there and I rock back and forth with James, I mean that shit. When I hug people and I bother people, I mean that. It ain't nothing light about anything that I do. Nothing. I do everything that I do with a purpose. So please believe me. Please believe me when I tell you. I'm not playing no games about this Black Lives Matter shit. I'm not. Don't crack no jokes about me. And I say about me because you're talking about me. Don't crack no jokes. Don't go and do some underhanded shit. If you don't fuck with me, tell me now. Unfollow me now. You ain't even gotta say hi to me no more. I promise you, it won't be no sweat off my fucking back. I do not care. I'm tired. As a black person, I'm fucking tired. So just imagine these people coming up through this. Let's look at those people. You don't even need to listen to me. Look at the young people that are coming up that are younger than me. Like, there is so much that I can apply to the dynamic of understanding what's happening. But the fact of the matter is, I'm tired of trying to make people understand. There are adults out here. If you can't say right now that you are treating everyone the exact same way that you want to be treated, then you need to look at yourself. It's that fucking simple. If you treated anybody else outside of that, you need to look at yourself, man. Because that shit is I'm telling you right now, treat people how you want to be treated. It's not that fucking hard. That goes to everybody in the community. Treat people how you want to be treated. I'm telling you, bro, this is all. That's the move. That's it. It's not fucking. My mother taught me this. And my father, that dude was mean to me. But he also taught me this shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I brought to what we do. You know what I'm saying? I'm never going to try to go outside that range of making people understand that this community it's helped me so much. It's helped me so much. And that's why I'm always going to be thankful. I'm always going to be thankful. And I know, once again, to go back to my original point, I know once again there are some people in the community that make some very, very stupid decisions, and in all honesty, it might just be the way that they feel. And if that's the case, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Boeken said it. This boys club shit, man, like, come on, bro. Come on, man. Man, y'all don't know what that shit sound like. Boys club, fuck out of here, bro. If you playing with your boys and you trying to alienate somebody, fuck out of here. I don't want to play with you. If I can't bring the homies, then what the fuck I'm gonna come around for? If you can't be there with me in the same place to play games in the middle of the night, hang out with friends, you know what I'm saying? Then why do I need to be there? I shouldn't have to explain the existence of anybody to you. I shouldn't. And nor should they. Like, to be real, they don't need to explain themselves to you. They made a decision to be in a space to play video games because they like video games just like you. Boom. That's all you need. Done. End of discussion. That's it. Hey, you like JoJo's? Wow, I fucking love JoJo's. You like comic books? Did you say comic books? You know what I'm saying? Guilty Gear. Fuck you know about Guilty Gear. Let's talk. That's what I'm here for. Yo, you want to play some games? Let's play some games. You want to enter this tournament? Let's enter this tournament. Fuck me up in a hotel. I'm trying to get better. That's why I'm at this event. That's why I'm playing video games. That's why I'm in this community. And it still has made amazing things happen for me. And I just really want people to understand that I know that shit gets pretty bad out here, but I want y'all to know there's a lot of good people in this community too. 2 of these people on the screen are 2 good people that I know. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and y'all know a lot of them too. Y'all know a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all know a lot of those people. So make sure, like, while you in this community, that you appreciate this space, because it's not afforded to everybody. It's not afforded to everybody. So you should be thankful first and foremost. And 2, you are being surrounded by people who have instant connection to you based off of a hobby. You should be ready to be and willing to open your mind and your arms up to them to spread information so they can be more comfortable. Make it bigger for everybody else. So please believe me when I tell you, man. Y'all need to stop being little kids in this fucking community. Stop it. Please stop it. I'd never bring my little sister around this event if people keep acting like they crazy. You know what I'm saying? All my family knows what I do. But if I gotta worry about some stupid person saying something dumb to them, you think I'm gonna bring them? And if I do bring them and you say or do something stupid, let me find out. All I'm saying is that I respect the community. And for me, that's why I will never try and never plan to disrespect this community. And anybody who does so, they should be put on notice. And if your intentions aren't pure in this community to make this shit grow bigger than it already is, to support everybody, no matter who they are. You know what I'm saying? Until they show themselves not wanting to be a part of this community, let's all be here together. Let's have fun and do this shit together. Cause I guarantee you that's the only reason I'm here. I'm not gonna put my energy in some shit that I can't do with people that I care for enough to talk to them about it. You know what I'm saying? So, I can rant about shit like this all day.
Hey.
But I believe I think the message is pretty clear. I do want to say one more time though, David, James, I appreciate y'all, man. Not just on some fighting game shit, but real life.
Hey, I appreciate that, Steve, and I feel the same way about you. You know, thanks a lot for coming on. Can you check your DMs real fast?
Yeah.
On Discord, yeah.
Oh, Discord? Oh shit, hold up.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on.
All I'm gonna say, Steve, is I want to give you a big ol' hug right now.
So just for the record, I wanna before I get back to that, James, don't think I forgot about you. I do want to say, just on the line of these protests and when the Mike Brown protest happens, I want to say rest in peace to Darren Seals. Darren Seals was an activist that was killed during the Mike Brown protest. These people aren't fighting for anything other than, you know what I'm saying, to be treated fairly, to be given the opportunity just like everybody else has been given the opportunity. And as scary as it may seem that all these things are happening, I can tell you right now that it's still scary for me too. It's so scary for me too, because you have to remember, man, this creates more eyes, you know. This creates more for people to look at. They're going to be there being like, well, hey, look at this. And you're going to have people saying all these things, right? But like when my family was there, they'll tell you. They were like, hey, man, you're going to get people good and bad to do stuff. That's all the way. It's always going to be that way. but you know where your heart is. You know, I knew a lot of people that was out there on the front line of these. I know them personally. My mother called me and told me. She said, "Steve, I'm happy you're not in St. Louis." And I said, "Why?" She's like, "Because you know too many people, and you would have been out there too." And I know that's true. I know that's true because just knowing that those people got hurt, got tear gas, got mace, pepper sprayed, and now you have children going out there getting pepper sprayed, and you have people. These police officers are being malicious in the sense because people are fighting back. In all honesty, we wanted to change in the world, and I feel like everybody wants to change. Is for police officers to stop killing black people. And there's still many things that have not been done. So it's so much shit that has not been touched on because people don't understand it. Why do you have to keep explaining people wanting to live to other people who want to live? Like, how is that? How do you justify that? So coming from somebody who has seen how Ferguson plays out, I was alive during the Rodney King riots. I remember talking to my mother about it. Please go back and read that history to understand what this changes. Because I can tell you right now, things are already changing. You know, things are already changing for police officers, and where they're telling you, hey man, 5 minutes before and after your shift, that camera can't come off or you will be charged. And you do have other places like Arizona, which is actually trying to charge people money to get access to that footage for police cams, right? And this is how in tune I am, because I'm a black person, and I love video games, and I love comics and all that stuff that I mentioned, but I have to be aware of these things. I have to be aware of these things because they directly affect me and people who look like me. So if at any point in time I can do and say and help any of those people who even resemble me, I'm going to do so. That is why I will never stop talking about this. There will never be a case where I'm going to, until this shit is fixed, I'm never going to stop talking about it. Please educate yourselves on history before you go out of your way, you know what I'm saying, to point a finger or point blame or try to even misunderstand. Go out of your way to look at the other side of things that are happening out here. Man, shout outs to my bro Luca. I definitely just saw his name in the chat. That's another person, man. I got so much love for this dude, Luca, man. This dude has literally made me. So I see Luca and I'm like, damn, bro. I met this dude in California. Never in a million years. Never. He is somebody that is so unique that, like, I cannot believe that I had the opportunity to meet him, you know? Like, it changes your world, man. And David, you know who I'm talking about.
I do.
Like, you're right. Like, y'all know that, I appreciate stuff like that. So I don't want to have to, you know what I'm saying? Like, this community has helped me be a better person because I understand that not everybody is like the other side. And I'm not saying the world is filled with bad people, but sometimes there are people out there that does not have your best interests at heart. And I'm happy to be in a community where I feel like a large chunk of these people have my best at heart. They don't want me to get hurt. I don't want y'all to get hurt. I don't want anybody to get hurt. I really just want to come, chill, relax, play games, talk about comics, freak out, yell in a movie theater every now and then talk shit when I'm done. So please understand. This goes out to the community and everybody that's listening. Please spread that message, man. Like, this is a community. Y'all already have shit in common. We're here to bring together, not separate, spread far apart. It's bad enough we got to play online. Please, let's not make it go further. Let's not spread us even further apart. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, yeah, James, just the same, man. I appreciate you, man. You know that. Like, it's so many people out here that will go out of their way to do and say some shitty shit. You know what I'm saying? Shitty shit. There's so many people that go out of their way to do it, man. It's nice to, you know, have somebody I can always hug. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a hugger, so
Me too.
I hug the homies. That's just how it goes. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people out there that know that. There's some that don't run up on me trying to hug me. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely do give hugs. Ask me for a hug. I'll give you a hug. There's people out there that will tell you, Steve, I just met you. Can I get a hug? Fucking bring it in. We finna hug it out. Ask Rip. Rip will tell you. We've literally been in other countries, and I've seen people with the hate-free hugs. I've literally gotten off a train in Japan and went and hugged that person. because that's the kind of person I am. Please never doubt that. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. I want everybody to be comfortable. I want everybody to come and chill. I want this to be a safe space, man. I want this to be a safe space, because for me, it's a safe space. I want it to be a safe space, I should say. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking from my side, and I know there's people out there who have experienced otherwise. But for me, like, this shit saved me, man. I wouldn't be talking to y'all if it wasn't for the community. Think about that. If this was not a community, y'all would not be listening to me right now. It's 5:65 in here right now. None of y'all wouldn't even know who the fuck I was. I could have been a statistic by now. Literally a statistic. And that's just based off of where I come from and the color of my skin.
Well, even without the FGC, you'd be the guy freaking out over the White Ranger anyway, so, you know.
You hear me? Actually, that's definitely true. That's definitely true. Oh, damn. You know, I forget about that video a lot, you know?
We'll always remind you, Steve.
Well, thank you. I really do appreciate that. Well, look. I definitely have a lot of work to do. I've been streaming a lot these days. Once again, I do appreciate you guys providing a space for not just me to come on and talk, but, you know, for Sharpie. I saw you guys had Cuddlecore on. I saw you guys had Amanda on as well. And I mean what I say. Like, for me, the community is a safe space. And I would love to create a safer place for everybody in this community, because I want people to feel how I feel. I want people to get hyped like I get hyped. You know what I'm saying? And if that comes from this place being that much safer, then let's make this place that much safer so we can come and all fucking go ham together. Let's go yell at the top of our lungs together. Let's make other people jealous that they don't have a community to go in and share these interests. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I'm here. You want to know what my motivation is? When I go from any other platform to another platform, they're like, Steve, man, you in these video games. No, me in these fighting games. I fucking love this shit. That's why I do it. That's why I'm able to do it, because that's what the community has done for me. I project what the community does for me. You know what I'm saying? Please remember that.
Yeah. Anti-particle beat me to it, but I was gonna yell, make some noise!
Oh shit, make some noise! Oh, I gotta make some noise in the chat. Oh, let's go. Yo, Taste Buds, if you in the chat, please make some noise. Be some gods out there, yeah? But, nah, man, I really do. Oh shit, Mama Down, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, let's go! Yeah, boy. Anyway.
That's great.
Oh man, but yo, that's love. That's why I ask, man. That's how I know y'all out there. Shout outs to the Taste Buds. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But nah, man. I'm not trying to be no preacher out here, but I really just want y'all to know.
Oh my God.
I got a lot of love. Damn, somebody dropping them off in the chat. Somebody's dropping them off in the chat. Yo, 88 the Stream Monster, I see you too. Mo Pichu, I see you too. But no, yeah, but I mean, like I said, just to go back to my earlier sentiment, man, part of the reason that I'm doing what I'm doing is because I was motivated by you guys, man. I was motivated by, like, listening to Rip and them, like, commentate and the Mike Rosses and the Gutex. I am a student. I am a student of what you guys have done. Believe it or not, I am a student of what you guys have created. That's why I can do what I do to the effectiveness that I have done it, because I have people like Mark, man. You know what I'm saying? All these people that I ran into. You know, there's so many people that have taught me so much about this community that I thought I knew where I was at. But, like, I have to thank the community. I have to thank you guys. And I know I get mad. Like, I do it all the time where I'm like, yo, man, I appreciate you guys. But I mean that shit. This is not me. This is not anything else other than just me saying, like, hey, man, I know what the other side is like. I know what that shit feels like to not be able to have somebody to talk to, not be able to share those interests, and not be able to have a safe space. Part of the reason that I am doing this is because I want to recreate that. I want people to feel how I feel. That's what I want. I want y'all to feel how I feel. In this space, I want y'all to feel how I feel. In a good way.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate the kind words. No need for that, but I appreciate that. I've often said that I think that of all the people who do commentary, you are the one who is most naturally, like, the entertainer. I mean, seriously, like, some of us learned how to do it, or like are still learning how to do it. But for you, that side of things is something that comes more naturally to you than to anybody else, for sure. Like, you're far and away on that front in terms of being a natural. So
I appreciate that, David. Real talk.
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
I appreciate
just from my own personal anecdote is when we did that Pocky thing at the Capcom Pro Tour.
Oh my God!
And you had to like talk to the audience during one of the breaks. They had thrown me out there by myself at first, and I was like, ah. And then they were like, "Steve, come join him." And then it was just like, it was wild, dude. Like I couldn't keep up. Like your energy, your charisma, and your passion just like bleeds from your, it just emanates from you, and it's very admirable. It's very admirable.
Well, we're very lucky to have you in the community, and I think sometimes about how lucky it is that you ended up meeting people in the fighting game scene, and the chain of events that led you to come out to California and take commentary more seriously. And I think too about how many people there are, how many extremely talented black people there are who come from the same area that you come from, who didn't have that luck. Exactly. And that's something I think about sometimes, and I'm very glad that at least in your case you're here, but I hope that for more people we can make a better situation so it's not just about luck in the future.
Way, man. Once again, man, and like this goes for a lot of the commentators out there who was doing this long before you guys definitely paved the way. Like, I don't know how many times I gotta say this, but you guys have to remember, I watched you guys sitting in my father's attic. I watched you guys down the street on my friend's computer because I could not afford a computer. That's where I come from. You guys have done a job.
All right.
I would not be here without you guys.
Not about us, all right?
I just want y'all to know.
You wanted to give us compliments, all right?
I'm just saying, that goes for everybody. Look, y'all know who y'all are in the community. I got a lot of love for y'all. Y'all know who y'all are. I just want to make sure y'all get y'all flowers while y'all can still smell them. Y'all know I'm always a fan, always a friend. That's my motto, bro.
All right, bud.
All right, man, let me get out of here. Yo, man, one more time, make some noise for James and David, man. Real shit. Yo, taste buds. Y'all better make some fucking noise out there. I don't get to curse this much on David's and them streams, so I'm going to do it again. Yo, make some fucking noise out there, man. I actually rock these dudes hard body. All right, man, I'm leaving now. Y'all be good. Y'all know how to contact me. It's always love. James, I need you to snuggle the kittens extra hard for me because I haven't seen them in a while, but
I will.
I'm a fan of the kitties.
Dude, just so everybody knows, a true story, my cats even know how genuine Steve is. The very first time TastySteve came to my house and met my cats, Nathan walked right up to him and just flopped over and was like, please give me rubs, dude. Like,
he was like, yo, he never does that. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, he just walked right up to you.
Just walked right up and went plop. And he was like, this man is the real one right here.
Well, yo, man. Oh, well, look, man. Please continue to be yourselves, guys. I appreciate you. I'm going to get out of here. Have a great rest of your stream. Shout outs to everybody in the chat. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Oh, yeah. And if you want to follow me, at Tasty_Steve on Twitter, Instagram, and on Twitch as well. I just recently started posting videos on my YouTube. I'm pretty sure it has something to do with my name, which is also TastySteve. I can't remember off the top of my head because I'm new to the streamer life. But hopefully you guys give me a follow on there. And I'll see you guys later.
Thanks, man.
Later.
Thanks in the meantime as well to people who have given us all the subs, to Wild Monk, SFV, and to Mama Dow, and to T-Sports and everybody else. We really appreciate the support. That's not really the reason why we do this, right? At least for these shows. I think it's much more important to hear from other people, but I do appreciate that as well.
Yeah, and I definitely had TastySteve's Twitter correct the entire time with the _, Steve. Oh man.
Oh yeah.
No, I had it wrong the whole time, so now I feel like an idiot. So.
That's all right. All right. Well, I encourage everybody to go back and watch what everybody had to say. If you just came here, or if you came partway through Steve's, or even partway through Sharpie's, go back and watch Boeken's. We'll have the video up tomorrow. But in addition, last week we spoke with Amanda and Hell Pockets and Cuddlecore and David, Calm Warrior, and they all had very different perspectives, very interesting ideas brought up as well in their chats. So I really recommend checking that out on the YouTube as well.
One of the best things about it is that literally all 7 people that we've had on have had all sorts of different experiences and all sorts of different, feelings on the FGC and everything. And that's why I think it's awesome just to kind of get the diverse perspective from everybody to really hammer home, what's been going on here and stuff. So
yep, no group of people is a monolith. Everybody's got their own thoughts.
Yep.
Very nice to talk with folks. All right. Wow. Thanks, I guess, for the level 5 hype train, as I wasn't even paying attention. Much obliged to everybody. So, anything else to say for now, James, on this?
One of the things that I just kind of wanted to mention, sorry, again, this is just kind of like a thought on the whole Black Lives Matter thing, but, one of the key videos out there, most people have probably seen the videos of Juliette Morgan, the older lady who's been kind of fighting for, try to educate people on racial equality. And, when Steve said, just understand what it's like when people walk around with, in the color of my skin and everything. There was the one lesson where Juliette Morgan was talking to a classroom full of, white people and just said, stand up if you, are willing to trade skin colors and live the rest of your life that way. And not a single one of them stood up, which meant they knew what it meant. You know what I mean? We all know what it means. And so when people try to tell you that, there is no color and that kind of thing, it's just not true. You know the truth. You know exactly what's happening out there. So, just kind of keep that in mind. So, was it Jane Elliott? Is that her name? Oh, God, I got her name wrong. Sorry. Jane Elliott. I looked it up in the names and I got the wrong name, I guess. So there you go. Jane Elliott is her name. So I remember it began with a J. So sorry about that. My bad.
All right.
Okay.
Not a big deal.
Every time I try to make an important comment, I always screw it up somehow. So
not that part of it was the least important. So don't worry about it. Everything else is more important.
Man. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, we do have some fighting game stuff to talk about. So
okay, sounds good.
We'll do that. All right, be right back, guys. But shout outs to the gift sub from Pugas. Appreciate that. When Shankar in the chat said that you always know Steve is being real. And Steve, had the comments of, we're just all here to have some fun and play some games and everything like that, It's just, as commentators as well, this kind of goes to what DaPurpleSharpie was saying and what TastySteve was saying, but, the most important thing is, be yourself and have a good time and use whatever power or influence you have just to spread the enjoyment of this community, man. Just like, it's such an awesome community. It's so much fun. The passion and the drive from everybody in this community is so overflowing with, genuineness. And if you're here for any other reason outside of here to spread the love of fighting games and to show other people how, why fighting games are such a good time and to have a good time yourself, if you're here for any other reason, maybe consider trying to find something else, because fighting games are always going to be about passion. They're always going to be about passion and a love for the genre. I know that's true of a lot of things out there, but I don't know. I'm going to be biased because obviously I'm in the fighting game community.
That's my good baby.
There's something about the fighting game community that just oozes that kind of passion and realism that I don't see in a lot of other places, I feel like. So that's all. And I do kind of apologize, I obviously these streams are for our guests to speak and to talk about their stuff. I don't want.
You better not be about to apologize for getting emotional. All right.
Yeah, I didn't want to be distracting, and I didn't want to like kind of make it about me or anything like that. So
Come on.
I wanted to make sure that they had the their opportunity to speak and stuff. So that's all.
All right. Well, the thing's done.
And that's a very true statement, Rayo Ayanami, and something that I've been working so hard to try to fix in the past year or two. Is just the FGC doesn't do a good job of highlighting the love for fighting games or the joy of fighting games, and I feel like that's one of the things that's been missing recently. And so that's definitely something I've been trying to do. So. Okay, all right. Let's get back to this thing and talk about some fighting the games. So,
Sounds good.
hey everybody, welcome back. We're here to talk about some fighting games. Oh man! All right. No, once again, not to make too light of it, but shout outs to everybody who comes on here and continues to talk. And like I said, last doesn't stop here. We'll keep trying to bring on more people as we can. So
Correct.
okay.
Fighting game news. We actually have tournaments to talk about yet again. It's amazing. We went like 3 months or longer without almost anything to talk about. And now we do have a couple of things. Obviously all online. That's how it's going to go. So let's chat about the Capcom Pro Tour Online 2020 Southeast Asia #1.
Yeah, see, unlike the East one, which I didn't see, this one was actually on at a time that I could easily catch it. So I was able to watch the majority of this event.
East of North America, not the right time. East of Asia, the right time. Wow. Well, I actually didn't watch very much of it at all because, the exact opposite reason.
Oh, man. Yeah.
It wasn't a great time zone for me.
Nah, but it was good stuff. It was really cool to watch, and it was really awesome to see how strong, Singapore was. And I know you wanted to bring this up a little bit later, so I don't want to, steal your thunder or anything like that. But, I love the interview segments that they're doing in the pre-show that Logan and
Yes.
F-Word and Jammers and everybody are doing. And, when they interviewed Cien, and he talked about how much he's trying to grow his community in Singapore. And then you immediately see this event, and, the top 8, the top 16 was, full of Singapore players. That's got to make Cien very proud. And I think that was something that really stood out to me, and I think was very cool.
For sure, man. I agree. I really like those pre-videos that they do. Those are really nice. All right, let's talk about the results. So, winner was Xiaoma SKZ with Seth. Second place, Chuan with Guile. Third, Razor Cien with Ibuki and Seth. Fourth, RSG Bravery Cammy. Fifth were Aaron Manarung with Nash, Zeku, and Vega, as well as Potato09 with Mika. And then seventh were Mind RPG Bison and KOF Master Manat.
Yeah.
A lot of variety.
Obviously, I don't know how to pronounce the name correctly, Aaron Man or Aaron Man, but his Nash, he switched away from Nash. His secondary was Vega, and his tertiary was Zeku. Imagine busting out Zeku as your tertiary for bad matchups. But his Nash, Aaron Manarong is what it is. Okay, his Nash was so impressive. Was so fun to watch, and it really made it look like that character, felt almost season one-ish in some of the matches that he had. He ran some people over. It was crazy. So I was really excited to see this. Part of my belief that I don't think there's a bad character in the game. Obviously, there's characters who fit in the lowest relative tier, but, I don't think anyone's bad.
I agree with you. There will always be tiers, but this one's pretty good about it.
Yeah.
So Seth showed up in first place.
There'll never be a shortage of tiers here on the Ultra Chan Tuesday show. So,
Aww. I hope not. Seriously, though, I hope not. So Seth, first and part of third.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe when Seth came out that anybody thought that character wasn't, like, right away one of the best characters in the game. That seems... I said that on this program.
Yes,
in fact.
I remember. And you had the tweet out there, that you were like, the hottest take is how anybody could think the hot take is that he might be top tier.
It's like very clear to me that Seth is amazing. But anyway, it was cool. I saw some of the matches in retrospect, not live, but I saw some of the matches, and I was very interested in how Cien used Seth, some tools that I haven't seen other people use in the same way. But that's to be expected for a player like Cien. He's very inventive. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Seth is clearly, solidifying themselves as one of the best characters in the game. And, the best part about it was that when I watched SKZ and I watched Cien, they had very different styles, and they also used different V triggers and different V skills and everything. So this character has a lot of potential for a lot of good variety. And I gotta say, Cien's use of Seth's standing heavy kick was immaculate. I mean, it was...
Right, that's one of the things I thought was very interesting.
It was like weird analogy, but it was really like Doom ground finger lasers. The way that he was using it, it was just controlling this space. Spines from freaking Baraka. He was using it as a means to control that space. It wasn't even like a footsie's poke kind of thing. It was a preemptive kind of control, and it was so beautiful that the way he was using it. So,
shoutouts to Cien.
Yeah.
Anything else to say about that one?
No, good stuff. Good stuff to the tournament. So, okay.
Agreed. CEO 2020 Online Edition.
Mm-hmm.
CE Online, however you're going to pronounce that. This was an online tournament, of course, and it had some unusual picks, I thought, for an online tournament. Mortal Kombat Aftermath, okay, fine. Netcode's pretty good. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, although done in a unique way.
Yeah.
And Ultra Street Fighter 4.
Yeah, the again, for the people who aren't aware, UMVC3 is trying this new method out there that doesn't just use Parsec, but also uses Amazon server, the AWS. I forgot what it stands for.
Yeah.
But they basically...
Web services.
Yeah, web services, that's what it is. But they basically host it on a external platform. The game is played there, and then using Parsec is they only transmit the inputs back and forth. And actually, they don't even need to go back and forth. They only basically need to go one way for the inputs.
Just to the one
image
spot.
Is
pretty
just,
cool.
It's only the image that's transported back, so they can kind of get around some of the lag. And I think a few other scenes are trying it. Like I've heard Samurai Showdown is doing some Parsec stuff, and so it's actually really, really kind of interesting, the technology people are trying to use for this.
For sure. Let's talk about the results of this. Oh, by the way, before we talk about the results... We talk about how Jabali was like tweeting, especially the days leading up, about like going to the Wyndham and being like, "Oh, hey everybody, I've showed up at the Wyndham. Oh, but nobody's there." And it was just, I felt sad for him,
right?
And I don't know what his intention was, but I felt like he was like making himself cry in those tweets. I don't know. I hope he was doing okay for real.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure it was not easy. He's such an extrovert. He is somebody who needs to be around people.
Yeah.
I think many of us can get by. I'm not necessarily an extrovert. I feel like I'm kind of in between. But I like having time to myself. Some people are more on that side of things. Jabali is the extrovert. So I think for him it's particularly difficult.
Well, let me ask you this question about CEO, because he tweeted this out. I generally don't participate in a lot of these kind of tweets, about like what was your most memorable CEO moment kind of things,
Yeah.
What would you say is one of your favorites, honestly?
Favorite CEO moment? Jeez, that's something I would really have to think about for a while. It's so hard for me to remember what matches happened at what event and what year. Everything is just a complete blur.
It's kind of unfair for me to put you on the spot like that.
Such a blur. But what I think about most is not the matches. You know, we talked about this, but whenever somebody asks me, like, what's your favorite moment from whatever it was, I almost never say the match. So I guess what I would really say is hanging out in the hot tub and kiddie pool section with my friends.
Yeah.
At the Wyndham.
I will also, I mean, probably just from the event, like, for me as a commentary moment, I think one of my favorite commentary moments at CEO was the Dominion intro.
Classic.
The Dominion
classic
intro.
Classic
it's
bit.
funny because Tiny Text just mentioned it. I mean, because
classic bit, yeah.
Because the thing about it was, one of the funniest things about that, I mean, not to break the illusion, I was actually told about what the intro was going to be beforehand, and so that's why when the lights went out and everything, I could kind of hype it up and play it along with it, you know, that I was like, wait, what's going on? Where is he? You know, and yeah, it was there. It was awesome.
Well, for the CE Online, they still had people record their intros.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. So they still kept that part of it around. Anyway, let's talk about the results. In Mortal Kombat 11, winner was Twixie with sub. Second place was Sim 2 Easy with Scarlet. Third was PG Katana Prime with Jade. ATL Fierce. Fourth was with Lau after that. Pretty cool. Twixie, I believe, is from North Carolina, although I'm not mega sure. Let me know if that's wrong in the chat, but I believe that's right. And I think is historically more of like a caliber player and has been playing NRS games, but I think this is the first time that he's done anything that's so strong.
Okay. Oh, is it Twixie?
Oh, was it reversed? I didn't watch this part live.
Oh, okay. So Twixie is a Scarlet player, huh?
Oh, right. Yeah, because I saw Twixie talking about how he had to face 2 really hard matches for Scarlet, and he was like really happy to have come over it.
Okay.
That makes sense, actually. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Pokken as well. Okay, there you go. So Caliber and Pokken, but doing great work in MK11.
That's awesome. Good stuff.
Definitely, yeah. I think that's really great. Yeah. By the way, really good character variety in that top 8 as well. You also had Mufasa 5th with Jackie and Geras, Zentai 5th with Shang, 7th were Isla's Hello Larry with Cetrion, and then 7th was Adam the Grey to round it out.
And it sounds like
in Ultra Street Fighter 4.
I was about to say, it sounds like they're doing a pretty good job too with RoboCop, because you feel like he's a good zoner and no one's complaining about him. So, you know, maybe NRS found like one of the secrets here.
Individual people are complaining about him for sure.
Okay. Okay.
Without saying that he's too good, but, you know, I'm definitely winning matches online where I'm doing nothing but throwing tiger shots,
Gotcha.
And some people aren't happy about that on the internet. You know how it goes. You know how people are.
Yeah.
Ultra Street Fighter 4 results. ML Swear wins with Hakan. Second place was DSC X-Wax Solid with Ryu, and third place was Fox with Bison. Fourth was Neon with Rose. Shoutouts to ML Swear, who has continued to play. Cool to see Hakan. It's just I was very curious about what that character's long-term position would be if anybody kept playing the game, and they have, obviously, right?
Right.
So it's very cool to see somebody doing some of the stuff that back in the day, like, I thought would be good, but I couldn't do it because I just didn't have enough hand control at the time, and nobody else was doing it, and so I had to play this weird game of like, well, I think the character's good, but like, I don't have any proof for that. And then at the end of the game's major tournament lifespan, ML Swear started coming out, started to do good work, and obviously just kept playing. So I thought that was really cool to see.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've always said that Hakan is the best character in the game when oil.
You have always said that. It's true. I still think that's right. I mean, I think that character, you know my thoughts about that character.
Yeah.
I think that character
it's
is
funny because
strong.
I was talking with somebody about Soul Calibur, and Amy is a strong character in that game, and she has the ability to power up red roses and purple roses. If she gets 4 of each, she goes into purple mode. And the person talking to me was like, yeah, when she gets both when she goes into purple mode, she's unarguably the best character in the game. And that's the first thing I thought about. I was like, okay, Hakan.
Hakan. When oiled up.
Yeah.
Ultimate Marvel 3 was won by Data Drutorius with Zero Doom Virgil. Second was TNS Ronan Healy with Taskmaster Doom Sentinel. Third was Jason Kiddo with Hagar Dorm Magneto.
Nice.
So nice work to everybody out there.
Okay.
Anything else to say about these tournaments?
I did not get a chance to see any of it, so I unfortunately I don't have really too much to add to that. So
we move on in that case.
Okay.
We don't have a real 5-5 matchup because I figured that, we would have guests on and we probably wouldn't have enough time to do the whole community vote thing.
Right.
Which probably has ended up being correct. So instead, we were just going to chat about some of the community business going on.
Yeah.
In this and sort of have a little talk about it.
Yeah. In particular, of course, the revelations from the past couple of days that have led up to today, MikeZ being banned from a lot of events, and as Sharpie was referencing the official, statement and signed statement by a bunch of people in the Skullgirls community.
Yeah. Right. They banned Mike. I don't know if I want to talk about that too much because Sharpie, I think, is probably the best person to hear for, one of the best people to hear from in that situation, and she has given her thoughts already. So, I mean, let's listen to that. But it's not just Mike who has been banned. I think quite reasonably so. I
mean, the one thing I want to say about Mike though is that the first time after that, commentary session, I had mentioned, I was like, hey, I do think that he should be banned. I kind of did feel like Combo Breaker should ban him and everything like that. I did also make the qualification that I was like, well, I don't actually think Mike is racist, but, I think this is an important lesson to be learned. But, after stuff like this has been happening and some of the stories coming up, I don't want to make any presumptions about him or anything because obviously it's hard to know a lot of the times what people are like when you're not looking kind of situations. So I do kind of want to take back that statement a little bit, but I do think he should have been banned previously, and I'm glad it happened this time as well. If anything, like I said, just to make sure that it hits home, kind of thing. And
well, I guess one thing I would say about it in addition, first off, that I think it's, like I said, I think it's a good decision. Mm-hmm. The Al Capone theory of sexual harassment. Have you heard about that?
No, I have not, actually.
So Al Capone was a gangster, of course. 100 years ago. And he was ultimately busted, but not for like the really bad like gang activity stuff. Instead, he got busted for tax evasion, issues. After it was evasion or whatever, but it's tax issues. Evasion. So this theory is that if somebody is doing something really bad, they may also be doing something not as bad, and vice versa. If somebody's doing something that's tax evasion, maybe they're also doing real gnarly stuff like being a mob boss. And so this theory is basically like if there's smoke, there's fire, right? That kind of same analogy. And I think it's kind of right in this instance. I don't know that it's categorically right, but it seems like it probably is right here, where when you see somebody say something that is pretty messed up, as Sharpie was talking about before, and Steve as well, there was something else there, right? And that's bad treatment of women, and maybe worse depending on which allegations are right out there.
Yep.
And if we had known, well, some people obviously knew about that, but taking that, maybe it's less of a surprise that he would also make this, grotesque attempt at a joke,
right?
As he did on the Skullgirls stream. So I think that's something that is used in sort of code of conduct circles, that working theory of, well, you ban somebody, you get rid of worse behavior rather than the stuff that you just ban them for.
Right.
And if you decide not to ban them, you may leave them around to do actually worse things.
Right. Okay.
Again, I don't know that it's categorically true, but it does seem like it's correct in this instance.
Okay.
All right. It's not just Mike, though, right? So Mike's issues came to light in just kind of a general upwelling. We talked about this briefly last week, but it's continued within esports, gaming, streaming, right? So there have been developers and major streamers and big esports players and giant esports commentators all busted for various kinds of bad behaviors, sexual harassment, racism, abuse towards employees. More than I had hoped there would be, but maybe not as many as would surprise me, to be frank. Certainly in some of those instances I have been surprised. Some of them have been good friends of mine, and it's very strange to see. And in each of those cases, you know, I think back, like, were there signs that I should have seen? Maybe there were, but I didn't. And I don't know, it's hard to know how to deal with it. But what I did was send them messages personally. I don't know, it's weird to be just on Twitter in public with people who I thought of as friends and have known for many years in some cases.
Right.
So I don't know, I reached out, but to what end, I don't know. I'm just saying I don't really know how to handle it. So I sent them personal messages as well as talking about it on Twitter. It sucks. I'm sorry that the people who did those things have been around for so long. It's something that, man, in some of those instances we're going back many, many years. And while for some people that pattern of behavior has stopped, for some it has not. And in those cases, I think in particular, we need to get those folks out of the community. So some of those people have been banned. They've been removed from their own organizations and firms that they started. They've retired. You know, they've been kicked off of Twitch. They've been kicked off of Twitter. There's just a lot coming out right now, and I'm really sorry that it took so long.
One of the things
I think, frankly.
Oh, I mean,
I wish it had happened earlier, but
it's just one of those things. You know, obviously there's bravery in numbers, and a lot of the times the reason why people don't say these things is because you put yourself in a position to be attacked. You know, from an isolated standpoint, you're saying this and you're going up against somebody who has this big old following, and it's like impossible really to get anything going. I don't remember which was the one that started the domino, but like one person talked about it, and it really kind of opened. It was the streaming, almost kind of the streaming Me Too movement, where a bunch of people started coming out about it and talking about these things. You know, some very, very big names as well. I just made sure to test it in chat. You know, the bless RNG emote is completely gone because he was one of the guys that got got allegations as well. The important thing, though, is that, you know, what happens a lot of the times, you see a lot of people come back with the argument, this is like allegations with no proof and blah, 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 and, you know, oh, you know, what happened to, you know, innocent until proven guilty, kind of things like that. And, you know, one of the things that I wanted to say on Twitter, I just never pulled the trigger on clicking the tweet button, is just, you know, I just really hope everybody out there, you know, believes in all the stories that are coming out. You know, it would take some sort of crazy kind of organization to have all these people try to be, you know, with false accusations. If you look at the history, like statistics, they don't have accurate statistics because so many people are scared to report anything, but like it's only like 10%, maybe less than 10% of any sort of these kind of accusations turn out to be false. And so when you have this giant
sexual harassment.
Sexual harassment. When you have this volume of people coming out and saying these kind of things, you know, you have to pay attention. You have to understand that, you know, most of these stories are true, and that you have to understand that, you know, that we have to take it seriously. You know, those that try to just brush it off flippantly and not give it another thought are kind of fooling themselves, you know?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And I think that in cases where multiple people credibly accuse somebody, like, it's very unlikely that those are all false. Yeah. For sure. Some of them I know there is more detail that just isn't or can't be public. Mm-hmm. And so it's not... although the general public may not see all of the stuff, there's more stuff. and I understand from the perspective of somebody who doesn't have access to that material. Not that I specifically do, but I know about it, I guess. That can seem like it's capricious, but like that stuff does exist for some people, at least. And I think it's very strange that sometimes there's an assertion that people make allegations like that, or that people acting on those allegations end up banning the people who are, the alleged abusers.
Right.
That any of those people is out for clout. It's not easy to be out there as somebody accusing anybody else, like you were just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Many of these folks have gigantic fan bases, and some of those fans don't care whether the person did a bad thing or not.
Right.
And they're just upset that their favorite person or somebody they like doesn't get to stream or commentate or play a game anymore or whatever. And they get real mean about it. And so it's not a gaining of social clout, okay? You are spending your social clout. You're giving it up, some percentage of it, to make an allegation.
Right.
It costs you clout. It does not gain you clout. And what you're hoping is that the person who abused you will go away. You're hoping that other people won't have to go through the situation that you went through, right? You're sort of trying to. It's a community thing rather than for yourself. Almost never in these situations, like where a politician's accused or whatever, some big star is accused. Those people don't get famous, right? They just get attacked.
Yeah.
The people who are alleging stuff almost categorically.
Yeah.
And the people who then act to try to help clean up the community, they are also spending tremendous social capital as well. They are not gaining clout. Mm-hmm. So it costs social capital to ban somebody and try to enforce it. I've been talking with some of the people who are involved in those decisions. It is difficult, and it's draining, and it makes them not want to be involved, and it's a big drain on them, even when they're not, on Twitter actively, right? Even when they're trying to stay away. Sharpie talked about this. That stuff's not easy. You are not gaining clout. You're spending a lot of social capital, and I wish that that's something that people understood more. It's really not easy to be on any of these sides.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
Well, Nathan seems to agree with you.
What? I appreciate Nathan. Thanks for the thoughts, buddy. I can hear him as well.
Oh, you could? Okay.
I could.
Okay.
All right.
But yeah, I mean,
anything else to say about that?
Some of the other names, I guess. Was there anybody else in particular you want to talk?
There were a bunch. Right. I think the ones that I just didn't know anything about and was real bummed about were my friend Ryan Morrison, one of the few other esports attorneys in the whole world, who was accused of kind of just being abusive as a boss, I think primarily, but other stuff too that was also gnarly.
Oh no.
I don't know what's right in there, but I guess it is taken credibly enough that he was removed from leadership of the Esports Bar Association.
Dang,
and
okay.
And his firm has placed him on leave. His firm he started has placed him on leave. So there's got to be some. Right. I don't know. That's my thought. I don't really know. Yeah. But in any case, I was extremely bummed about that. Bummed primarily for the people who suffered, like, as an employee of his, right? That's the primary. But secondarily, it's just like a weird feeling for, like, I don't know. I knew that guy. And then Red Eye, a commentator who's been around forever. Yeah. One of the only, I think he's like 50. Like, he's quite up there. And I had looked up to him, not that I've ever met him personally, but I looked up to him as one of the few people who's sort of showing that this is a career that you could just do forever, right? That you could be a commentator until you are old and retire. Mm-hmm. And I guess there's been a lot of stuff that he's done negative as well, maybe more sort of abuse and blackmail is the set of allegations, so he has now retired. So, those are
the most famous.
Those are, for me, the ones that I just didn't know anything about, and they really caught me off guard. What do I think about Dr. Disrespect? Oh, well, who even knows, right? I don't know that anybody outside of a small handful of people know why he was deleted from everything.
Slasher
What's that?
knows. Slasher knows.
I guess, but not many people do, and I certainly don't, so I don't know what to think of it, but I couldn't tell you that I'd be surprised for somebody who had filmed in a bathroom or who had talked about weird conspiracies on stream. It doesn't seem like a big surprise to me.
Yeah. But I mean, it's interesting to see the kind of stuff that is happening right now, and it's the dangers of the streaming platform again, right? And it's just one of those things that, I saw one person in the FGC. There were no accusations, no allegations on him, but he just came out and started talking about stuff that he did in the past. And, he was like, I just want to get this out there. I was terrible. Like, this is the stuff that I did. I don't want to be praised for this, for coming out and talking about this kind of thing, And, it's just, it's important because, when you become a more popular streamer or a top player or any, it's the allure, right? It's the drug of becoming Hollywood. That's why everyone uses that as kind of a joke, is, you're getting Hollywood, is because you start feeling like things are owed to you. You feel like you have this power. You feel like you have this ability to get what you want. And it's one of the most dangerous things that you can ever... it's one of those things that as a human being you have to be aware of constantly to make sure that you never get caught in that, because then you just think you can get away with things, and the one thing you get away with makes you think you can get away with more things, and then it just snowballs like that, and then eventually... we wonder why... it happens to so many people. Why is it so that people who get into these important positions end up being so commonly, the ones that do these kind of things, try to take advantage of other people? And that's the reason why, is because you just don't keep track of your own humanity, your own humility, and you start thinking you're invincible, and you lose sight of that. And it's one of the most dangerous things. I know a lot of people get mad at me when I engage people who yell at me on Twitter all the time, because they're like, you're hurting yourself, James. But that's one of the reasons why I do it, because I just don't ever want to be in an echo chamber. I don't ever want to mute everybody who hates me and stuff like that until they start getting particularly nasty. But,
there's a limit. I agree with you, but I do...
Exactly. Yeah.
I do sometimes feel the same way. It's important to see criticism, of course. I don't know that it's important to see some of the things that people say, but criticism, of course, is important.
Sure.
It's not right that, for the most part, that people care about what you did as a teenager, or even when you were much younger. As long as you've sort of made changes in yourself. Neither of us was perfect. Of course, I was not, right? No, and would never make the claim otherwise. And I've talked publicly about this. Not just in this instance of everybody talking about these issues, but many times over the years, that I feel that I have made changes because of the things that I did or said that weren't nice, right? That my friends got upset. I didn't want my friends to be hurt, and that made me change. I saw the people getting hurt. I didn't want them to be hurt. That made me change. Like, I know that you've gone through the same process. So even if you were a big jerk back in the day, I don't know that many people care about that now, as long as you are a different person. Now, if you've been doing the same things for the last 10 years, 15 years, whatever, that's definitely a problem, okay? But if you have made those earnest changes, that's something that I think people will care about more. Maybe there's some exceptions to that with the most extreme things, but I think that's pretty rare.
Yeah.
Pretty rare.
Of course. Okay.
All right. So I guess that's it for our short 5-5 segment, huh?
Sure.
Not much to chat about.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about other community stuff. Not much. I just really briefly wanted to talk about how I really like the Capcom Fighters fighting words with F word and Logan. And you brought it up a little bit when you talked about the pre-shows that they're doing for the Capcom Pro Tour events. they are doing similar stuff for midweek. So those air on Thursdays, and it's on Capcom Fighters, and it's, like I said, Logan and F Word. They interview players, they talk about the stuff that happened on the Capcom Pro Tour the previous week, they talk about characters and gameplay sometimes. I think it's really well put together. I really like the idea of that. It's something that, we've certainly pitched many times in the past, and I'm really happy that it's happening now. I think they're doing a great job of it.
Yeah, honestly, when I see that show, and, shout outs to everybody who produced this other thing that I'm going to be talking about that I'm going to criticize, but that's what I was hoping that Capcom Pro Talk Resurgence show, remember last year, like the 1 year that they did in NorCal, that was like Crack Fiend and Bizarro Mike and all those guys did that show. That's the kind of thing that I was hoping that they would do. And so when I see Logan and F Word doing the show and analyzing and getting to interview people and really have these meaningful segments from the players and stuff, it's fantastic. I love it. I think it's so great, and I feel like it's something we've been missing for a very long time.
100% agree.
Yeah.
That said, I hope people actually watch it, because it had like 500 viewers when I was watching it on Thursday. So please give it some views so that they'll keep it going, because I would love to see that more often.
Right. I mean, honestly, it's just tough because, the tournaments aren't going to get as many views because they're just not live events, and, you don't hear the buzz about them and things like that. Even the CPT events, they're not getting the same kind of views that they've gotten in the past, and a lot of it is just because these aren't live events. I don't know. There's something about a buzz about people being at Combo Breaker and tweeting pictures at Combo Breaker and go, oh my god, I'm traveling to Combo Breaker, and like all this stuff. It builds up this buzz and makes everybody want to watch it, even though winning these CPT online events gets you into Capcom Cup. Like, it just doesn't have the same kind of impact just because you don't get that kind of, ooh, it's coming kind of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, but that said, when I was watching the CPT Online NA East, for a while at least, it had like 15,000 viewers. So, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's true.
To be honest. And then it looks like there's some other community numbers that maybe we'll get very shortly. Thank you very, very much, Artemis.
Thanks, Rachel.
If that is your real name, and it's not. This is Evo Online numbers for North America. Oh, and for Europe and for Japan, South Korea as well. So let's talk about these. In North America, interesting. Can you put these up, actually, James?
Yeah, these numbers are weird.
These are very interesting. Very interesting.
I'm doing some crazy things to David over here.
Get these on the stream here.
Yeah, hang on a second.
Yeah, curious. Let's see what we got. So, just to start reading as you are putting it up there. North America, the most entered game is Skullgirls, with 1,249 entrants. Wow.
Makes sense to me, to be honest. So.
Does it? Okay, well, let me get through this. Second is Killer Instinct with 1,175. Third is MK11 with 1,152. And then fourth is Them's Fightin' Hers with 1,004 players. All of them over 1,000 from North America.
That's cool. I think that's really cool.
It's fantastic, yeah. I am a little surprised that Skullgirls has the most. Now, I don't know if that's by so much, right? That's less than 100 spread in any of those cases as well until the last one. But I think that's... I would have expected, I guess, like MK11 or KI to be number one. Right. But I don't know. In any case, I'm really happy about those numbers. Those are really, really cool to see. Mm-hmm. You want to scroll down to the next one?
Yeah, so this is where things start getting interesting here.
So, Skullgirls is also first place in EVO Online Europe, 235. Second was Them's Fightin' Hers, 207. MK11 just behind with 205. And then KI in last with 149.
Yeah.
Huh. And then to round it out, EVO Online in Japan and South Korea, where they are not playing Mortal Kombat, by the way.
Yes, but they're not playing anything.
Right, Skullgirls with 41, Them's Fightin' Hers 30, KI 29 people. Huh.
Yeah.
Well,
very low.
what do you think about these numbers, James?
I mean, I guess it makes sense because, you know, them's Fighting Herd, Skullgirls, and Killer Instinct were never really that big in the Asian countries in the first place, you know, so probably not as much interest there. So it's surprising to me that they're even still that low, especially because it's a free-to-enter tournament, but, you know, I guess you can't be too surprised in any case, so...
You know, for Japan, South Korea, because it's only those two countries, it's not East Asia, it's just those two.
Right.
They probably could have had Street Fighter. I'm serious. I mean, it's not a large geographic area, and they have really good connections there. So. Anyway, whatever, they chose not to. Yeah, I think I'm a little surprised that Skullgirls is number one, but not by much, and I'm not surprised by much. And I'm looking forward to these. I entered KI and MK11. I'm playing the games.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And it says here as well that they are changing every single match in the tournament to 3 out of 5.
Every single match?
Every single match. Yeah.
Well, I guess why not, right? We're all just playing at home.
Yeah, cool.
That's pretty cool.
Okay, nice.
Evo numbers. That stuff starts... not too long from now. In July. Is it the second week of July that it begins? If only Artemis was still in this chat. Or Andres.
This
one
weekend,
of you two.
This weekend.
This weekend? Okay, alright, sounds good.
Okay.
So the first weekend of July even. Hot dang. I look forward to that.
That's true. Now that came a little too late, but if it came a few weeks earlier, maybe even Melee could have been in there.
That would have been so cool.
I know, right? Oh man,
that would have been so cool.
Yeah.
All right, so them's Fighting Herds is this weekend. After that will be Skullgirls. After that will be KI. These are weeks. Then MK11 to round it out.
Nice.
All right, cool. We'll talk about that next week, I'm sure. Whoa, it's a cat. So I guess next week we'll be recapping the results up to that point. That's cool.
Nice.
Rare indeed. All right, let's talk about game news briefly. Samurai Showdown. Warden is already out. They actually did a breakdown on stream with the game designer Soranaka Kaito of Warden, and now he's just out and playable. But I thought it was really cool that they did a breakdown like that.
That character is super interesting. They are finally just starting to go, you know what, let's just do whatever. Like, he has chains with his A's and his B's, and like he only has like 2 special moves, but he can cancel them into the chains and the feints, and they don't combo. And,
right.
Like, he's a completely just out of, you know, like, whatever systems exist in Samurai Showdown, he's doing his own thing. And I think that's really, really neat that, you know, again, they tried to get a guest character from For Honor and turn him into something that's really different. So I think that's really cool.
A couple of my friends who do play For Honor said that he's exactly like the For Honor character.
Oh, really?
So I think that's pretty cool. Yeah.
That is cool. Okay.
And then in Smash Ultimate, Min Min is out, as well as a very significant patch 8.0. Made a bunch of changes to a bunch of characters. And while I don't have any expertise in this, I did read people on Twitter who was saying that it seemed like their opinions on Min Min really ran the gamut. Some people thought that she was bad. She needs to go into the bin, I think is what Hungry Box had to say. And others think that she seems really good and has really good frame data and really good combos and really good range.
So
and,
those
she
people,
just seems like she might be good. So
those people say use her for the win-win, basically, right?
Right. Of course.
Okay.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But like I said last week, I'm really curious about her. And then, you know, I don't have any expertise to talk about which characters got good times in the patch.
Yeah,
there's a big patch.
Again, it's still cool that they're still changing stuff. Like, I saw one tweet talking about how some new combo worked for Falco. I saw someone talking about how Mewtwo's Fireball got buffed really good.
I saw Gimmer talk about that.
It's actually really cool to see that, you know, that they are still patching and making things better. So there you go.
Guilty Gear Strive, there was a Zato and Milia trailer. That went live pretty much when we began our show last week, so this is pretty much last week's news. But we didn't see it at that point, and now we're talking about it, so what do you think?
I just can't believe how good Milia looks, dude. Like just her style, the costume design, everything about it. Even like the way they designed her face. Like I said, I've never been a Milia person, but like she's like really pretty in this game, and her design just looks so good. And then on the other hand, you've got Zato, who's just like completely just jacked all of a sudden, dude. It's hilarious, dude.
The Eddie looks so great. It's so cool. It's
do.
not even really a shark at some points anymore. Or there is at some points, but there's also, it's like a weird shark frog. I don't even know how to describe some of the stuff that's going on there.
It's the clearest Eddie has ever been because, I mean, even though he existed in the last game, but like, they made it look too much like the old one. This one, he has the bright red outline. Like, before it was all the zooming in and zooming out, so Zato always kind of looked a little blurry and, like, hard to tell who's Zato and who's Eddie and everything. But now it's just like, there's Eddie. And I love, like, it's the first time I've like, watched it, and I was like, you could clearly make that distinction, and I love that. I love that so much.
Looks super cool. Super cool. And I also don't have enough expertise to talk about this, but just watching that trailer, they looked like Eddie and Milia to me. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I mean, obviously, the biggest difference is that Milia's disc puts her in the air. So now the way that she mixes you up is by going through an air dash. So she already starts in the air. Before, she would throw it down and then tiger knee up to kind of do these things. And I think maybe they wanted to eliminate the raw low option from her, so when she plants the disc, I mean, she might be able to empty it and then go low, but she can't just do disc meaty low kind of thing. So now she plants the disc and air dashes, so it might be a little bit different. Zato, however, I mean, all the things that Eddie are doing look pretty unique, and you know, the fact that he has that one move where he throws out multiple invite hells in a row, the spikes from the floor, because before it was just here or here, but now it's just like, oh, let me throw out 4 of them in a row, you know, so now they might have changed it to one move that just automatically does the 4, and so for the most part, I mean, the thing about Zato, which is tricky, is that every iteration of XX, they kept changing what Eddie did. Like, they kept adding this and doing this different and whatever. So they kept changing him because they kept, like, trying to make him a little more balanced, but then he would end up being the same anyway, except in Slash, where he was really kind of nerfed the most out of all the XX versions. But they've always kind of changed it. So even though the stuff that Eddie is doing right now looks different, I'll bet you anything he'll probably still play mostly the same. Oh, man.
Thanks to VTrixV for the sub. Appreciate it.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Well, that's all, I believe.
Nope. There's one more thing. They are in maintenance right now, but at midnight, Teppen will have its first new hero and first new cards in like 4 months or something. So just in time for Kitty to show up. The new hero, of course, is Feline, and a tiny hero is the name of the season. So there you go. So I might be streaming at midnight today. So.
Interesting. So Feline is a card. There's a few felines.
It's just, Feline is a generic race in Monster Hunter, and they just turned it into one of the characters, which is really odd. And dude, this character has some crazy hero arts. One of their hero arts is I take one of your cards out of your hand and just it's my card.
Out of your hand, even? Wow.
Yeah, just take it out of your hand, like not off the field, not like brainwashed where you take it out. I think it just takes a card out of your deck and now it's theirs, which can be good or can be bad, because if you pull like a Selfish Predation, which only works on black units, you won't be able to use it if you're a pure green unit or a green-red unit, so you get something stuck in your EX pocket that you can't use. However, if you have 2 cards in your EX pocket and you pull one of their cards, it just graveyards into your pocket. So if you keep all your cards in the EX pocket, you can just start eliminating their cards completely.
Right. At a minimum, they just don't get to use whatever it was.
And so it really feels like, because there's a lot of, it's interesting because Black is now getting this kind of mechanic based on a lot of the cards that you're going to be able to do stuff. You know how like Nerg has things based on your hit points. If you're under 15, you get this. Now they have a bunch of cards that if you have less than 10 cards in your deck, here's a buff. If you have less than this card, there are cards out there that just kill things out of your deck. So if you pull like the card that you need for the win condition at the end, you can actually just be like, oh, let me kill all my own cards kind of thing. But at the same time, Feline has this ability to steal cards, and they're doing all these things about maybe trying to put more things in the EX pocket. Maybe they finally actually created a genuine mill deck in which they're just going to sit there and just make it so you run out of cards and have nothing left to play and then beat you that way, you know? So it's going to be interesting. They didn't nerf memory at all. They didn't nerf Hakoha at all, which are the two things everybody was complaining about. So it's going to be curious to see how it's going to work. I don't know, maybe they want to see how it plays out with the new meta before. Like, what if they nerf memory, but turns out memory's not as strong anymore and they overdid it? And so maybe they're just waiting for another month of this play. And although I won't be able to help out with these things because there's all sorts of fighting game streams going on this weekend, you know, Iowa the Boat's doing a bunch of exhibition stuff for the new season this weekend. So if you want to watch some cool Teppen stuff, definitely check out twitch.tv/Iowa the Boat. Actually, he might be even streaming on Teppen Community. I'm not sure. Follow my Twitter and I'll tweet it out at some point. So.
Awesome, man. Happy to hear things are going along.
Yeah.
I've been playing a lot of MK, and I've been playing a lot of RoboCop, and I think he's super fun, and he's exactly what I want to be doing. I want to also have the command grab side, you know what I mean? I don't want to only the zone, but it's a blast.
Do they have the RoboCop
like a dedicated zoner?
Do they have the RoboCop theme in the game?
The music? I haven't heard the music. No. Yeah, it's classic.
Probably couldn't get the rights for it, so, you know.
I don't know what to tell you, yeah. But he's a really, really fun character. I like him a lot. Yeah. He has some matches that I think you can't do the normal zoning stuff because MK11 has a lot of characters who have anti-projectile stuff.
Right.
But it also has... Every character in that game has some options. Right? Mm-hmm. No character in that game is like just a projectile character, just a grab character. Everybody's got like at least a little bit of everything.
Right.
And RoboCop's the same. And he actually has really good safe pressure. He's got really safe strings. He has fast startup mids. He has extreme plus frame advantage on hit that he can just do standing resets into so that you can't do like wake ups. So he actually has like, I think, a little slept on pressure. Not that it's like the best in the game, but like it's slept on for sure, and also these great zoning moves. So I like him a lot. For me, I think he's really, really fun so far.
I need to sit down.
What's that?
I said I need to sit down and mess with him. I'm so behind on so many things. Like I haven't touched like maybe the last 2 or 3 Samurai Showdown DLC characters, and I haven't messed with RoboCop, Fujin, or Shiva at all. You know, I'm like,
there's a lot of stuff. Really, a lot of stuff to play right now.
Yeah.
And I'm also still playing KI. I forgot to mention this during the tournament results, but there were 2 Killer Instinct tournaments over the weekend. The 8-bit Beatdown is back, which is super cool. They're doing tournaments again, online, of course. And Nikki had a tournament where he invited players from other game communities to come play.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was, I think, a very cool idea. I was assured by at least some of my friends that I would have dominated that tournament if I had been invited, but Nikki neglected to invite me, and so we'll never know. But it was really... It was really fun to watch, and it was cool that they had Arma on commentary as well, Darth Arma, who's not a KI guy, but I think was on there to play the sort of everyman role of, hey, I don't know what this is, you know, because they're going to be people watching who are from NRS or from Street Fighter or from Marvel or from whatever game series, right?
Right.
And they will have questions, and so Darth Arma was there to ask the questions, and it was definitely cool.
Cool. Okay.
Nice work, everybody.
I never actually finished filling out these numbers here, so these numbers might not be accurate. I'll have to go look in a second. But there was also another important tournament that took place this weekend, which was the Shoryuken scrimmage. Also took place this weekend. That one was won by BAFN Thingy. who is a person who organizes the Bay Area Fight Nights.
Ooh, cool.
And he won with Alex. So I can tell you I didn't want to play him. I definitely did not want to play him. He went up 2-1 against me and literally had like 3 opportunities to kill me. I eked it out in the end, so shout outs to Thingy for a hard fought match there. I was sweating.
Cool.
Renever got second place. Dro SFV, who had gotten second place the previous 2, got third place this week. And the Interceptor got his 3rd, 4th place in a row.
Wow. So it'll happen at some point.
He's the new Mike Ross, I guess. I don't know. So,
the low blows. Yeah, it'll happen at some point.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, but there you go. Again, cool stuff. I've been doing them, looks like every other weekend, but now that I realize Evo has been starting up and stuff, maybe I might have to skip the next one. I'll look at the schedules and see how they all fit together, basically.
Sure. So. Okay, sounds good.
Yep.
Fun beginner tournaments for sure. Oh, I guess Gotchkun had a kid. Congrats to Gotchkun.
Oh, yeah. I thought he's had one for a little bit. Why? So
no idea, but that's what people in chat are saying. All right. All good? Time to skedaddle?
Time to skedaddle. All right. Thanks, guys, for tuning in.
Thanks again to Wild Monk for all the subs given out earlier. Really
Mama
appreciate
Dow
that.
As well. And
yes,
then,
Mama Dow as well, and all the people who subbed.
And shout out
directly. Pugas gave a gifted sub. A lot of support tonight. It's important that not just be support for us, although of course we appreciate it, but that it be support for the people who need it more. That it be support for making sure that everybody in the FGC and hopefully eventually in the larger world will actually have safe spots to be in and can just at some point play video games. But
and shout outs.
It might be a while, but it's important to try to make it happen.
So shout outs again to Boeken, to DaPurpleSharpie, and for Mr. TastySteve for jumping on the stream and talking with all of us and talking to everybody in the chat. So
I have been playing, just before we get going, as Andres brings up, I've been playing Gunfire Reborn.
What the heck is that?
I had never even heard of it, except for the fact that some of my friends are playing it. It's a first-person shooter roguelike game, and you get to pick up all sorts of items and guns, and it's just a really fun roguelike. You can play with up to 4 people, and we have been playing, and it's fun. Get in a Discord call, play a game with each other. It's on Steam Early Access right now. There are 2 characters right now. 1, a dog. 2, a cat.
Well, that means I would like to play it, but obviously I can't because it's a first-person shooter, so...
right. But for everybody else out there, check it out. It really is fun so far.
All right.
It's early access, so they're still working on it. Later.
Peace out, guys.
Who wants to play Gunfire Reborn? Let me know. Get at me, nothing.
And yes, FPSs make me barfy.